Hello, hello everybody, and welcome to the Drift Masters European Championship Season 2023. We are here at round one. We are at Mondello Park, the best Irish track for drifting in the world. Now, we have got a huge event for you this weekend. We have sold over 10,000 tickets. You can see the grandstand around me just starting to fill up. The atmosphere is starting to get electric, and boy, do we have some action for you today. We have got 58 drivers coming from over 19 countries, and they're all putting it down on the track yesterday to get through our qualifying. And we had our 1, 2, 3 spot with Irish drivers, with James Deane taking the top spot, then Jack, and then Connor Shanahan. Very much mirroring what happened last year in the last round at Poland. It is the return of Piotr Wiecek this year, though. Is he going to take the championship? Last year, he was the 2-time defending champion. But this year, we are going to some new tracks, so it's going to really test our drivers to see if they can throw it down on some new locations. Now, we obviously start here in Mondello, but then we will be heading to our second track in Sweden, the Drive AB Centre, and then to Finland. Now, this is somewhere where we have never been before. We know that the Finnish fans are so hungry for this. We have listened to them, and we are now heading to Finland. We will then head to Latvia, then Germany, and then at the end of the year, boy, do we have a spectacle for you. We are filling up the biggest stadium that we have ever tried to fill at the PGE National Centre in Warsaw. I can't personally wait. It's going to be absolutely massive. We've got new drivers, new cars, new countries. I mean, it's fantastic. But the fans are what make this all go round. As you can see, the grandstand behind me just starting to fill up. The paddock is absolutely packed. As you can see here, we have got over 10,000 people just starting to fill up this place. And you know what? That's the best thing about drifting. You can get up close and personal with the drivers, with the cars. And it's just an amazing, amazing sport. We can't wait to get this going. So whilst you guys are going to take a look at what happened in qualifying yesterday, I'm going to head down to the paddock to chat to some of our drivers. Well, there you have it. That was our qualifying and an all-Irish lineup there. And what we're doing now is we're just heading down to the paddock because we're going to have a chat with some of our drivers as we're just getting ready for our top 32 battles. Now, the guy that managed to put it on the top spot with a 96-point run was James Deane, who's actually coming back as a wild card this year, running a number which is very unfamiliar, 202 instead of 130. As you can see, Jack just started his engine there. Typical. James, obviously a quick one because you're about to head out to your first top 32 battle because you're on the other side of the lineup this time. But what is it like to be back in Ireland? I know you're in America this year. Is it good to be back in front of a home crowd?
Driving in Mondello is one of my... Thank you, Kevin. Driving in Mondello is one of my favourite events. We're the first battle. We managed to qualify first yesterday in very tricky conditions. So we're going out now in a couple of minutes. First one out, so literally jumping straight in the car. It's amazing to be back home, and it's not our last time back home this year either. So great to have all the local support, and hopefully we can put on a great show.
Good luck in your first battle, James.
Thank you.
Right, guys, we're going to move down to the Shanahans. As I said, they took the second and third spot in qualifying yesterday. Very, very close, both on a 94-point score. So which means the competition between these two brothers is as high as ever. Obviously, looking to last year, Jack came in second place, Connor in third. They're going to look to be taking that win this year. And I've got young Connor Shanahan with me here. Connor, how are you feeling ahead of today? I know yesterday you were saying there's a few nerves. It's the first event of the year. You're just trying to burn that off a little bit. What's going through your mind round about now? You're looking very suave, cool with the sunglasses.
Appreciate it. it hasn't been the best morning again. I didn't really get any laps. I tried to do 2 chase runs, but the lead car went off the track twice in front of me. So not ideal, but I have good trust in the team that they're going to get the car ready to go, and it's all down to me then. Little changes, but overall I'm excited to put on a great show. Place is packed already. It's unbelievable to see everybody coming in here, and hopefully, well, I know they're in for a treat, whether it's me driving or anybody else. You're about to witness the best drivers in the world. So I'm excited, but at the same time, I'm hungry for a win. I don't want to back down. I've got Felix in the top 32, going to be a very good challenge. I've battled him a couple of times before, but yeah, it's time to get to work and hopefully we get the job done.
I've got a question for you. Obviously, the big story this year is Naoki Nakamura is joining us from Japan, from D1, bringing that famous S15 over. What do you think he's going to bring to the championship?
Yeah, I think it's exciting to see the style, what he can bring here. Personally, I know he's one of the greatest of all time. You know, the stuff that man can do in a car is like mad. It doesn't make sense sometimes, but I think when it comes to technical driving, I feel like this rule book could be the biggest challenge he'll face yet, just because it's completely different to the style what he drives with. But as I said, he's a gifted driver, and I'm sure he'll adapt after a while. And unfortunately, he can't drive today, which sucks. But I'm sure we're going to see a lot of him for the rest of the season.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Connor, and good luck in your first battle. Let's find your brother. Where is Jack Shanahan? Here he is in front of his car. There's quite a lot going on here. I see some oil in a pan. I see lots of stuff everywhere. Jack, what is going on?
Yeah, so not the best of practice again. We had a terrible practice on Friday, terrible practice yesterday. We had 2 alright qualifying runs and terrible practice again this morning. So yeah, not great. 2 laps this morning, I spun on both laps, and it's not really a common mistake for me, I would imagine. But yeah, we've changed the power steering rack. Still felt a bit weird, so now we're changing power steering pump. So the lads are that's the last piece of the puzzle really. If it's something else, it's probably me. So I need to fix it between me and the driving, I guess. But other than that, it's just, I don't know, it's a bit stressful, but it is what it is.
Jack, I know you. I know when it comes down to the line, you'll pull it out the bag. So good luck in your first battle.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, let's take a wander down here. Some teams have left. I mean, you know what it's like in drifting. We have qualifying and so many drivers turn up, but we only have 32 spots to fill. So there are a few people that have left, but we have still got our defending champion just here. Back in his trusty S15. Now, over the off-season, we saw that Piotr Wiecek actually invested in an A90 Supra. This was going to be his new car that's coming out, but he's back with the trusty S15. So I want to know, wherever Peter is. Can we find Peter? Maybe he's through here. I think he's running away from me. He normally does that when I come through with a camera. Peter? We'll find him. But this car is the old faithful. I mean, obviously this has won 2 championships now. He knows it inside out. It's an S15. He competed in FD in this S15 as well. So it's definitely familiar territory. Here's the man himself, Piotr Wiecek. Defending champion, coming back for another season to try and do it 3 times. Now, I have a question for you. I've been watching your YouTube videos. You have a beautiful A90 Supra sat at home. Where is it?
Yeah, it's far, far away, unfortunately. It's still not ready. We are very happy that we are building a new chassis, but it's a bit far away from what we would like to have. So we need to invest some more time into this car, and hopefully, maybe for the next round, that will be perfect. But time will tell. Once it will be ready and we'll be comfortable inside it, we'll show it to everybody.
Do you think you'll be able to make it to Sweden with it? I mean, I'm pushing the issue here. I'm like, come on, Peter.
Yeah, I wish. Fingers, both hands, fingers crossed. And yeah, we will see. We'll definitely try our best. But to be honest with you, we don't have a bad car already. So we definitely won't be trying too hard. Once it will be ready and we will be 100% sure that we are ready inside this car also, then we'll make a move.
Now, you've had some success at this track. You managed to break the streak of the Irish winning here. I think it was over 20 years. You took that win last year. You've got the weather. You had an okay qualifying yesterday. Are you just ready to throw it all down in the battles today?
Yeah, that's the moment. That's the time that we need to show ourselves from the best side. And fingers crossed, yeah, that is going to be a good day for me again. But everybody are preparing very hard during the off-season. The cars are getting faster and faster, so we need to stay focused and, yeah, wish for the best.
Brilliant, Peter. Good luck in your first battle. Now, guys, just quickly before we throw to the commentator, unfortunately, Naoki Nakamura is out, which we're all gutted about, but just take a quick look at this beautiful car. It's one of my favorite S15s in the world. The livery, the colors, the whole thing. Next time we'll see him, he's doing the entire season with us, so we will get to see this car on track, not just in qualifying. But other than that, there's so much to talk about. New drivers, new tracks, new cars. I'm just going to hand it up to you guys in the tower. Dave Egan and Ian Waddington, take it away, guys.
Thank you, Becky, and we are very excited. It's round one of the Drift Masters European Championship 2023, and we start here in Mondello Park, a challenging circuit, off-camber, blind entry. A lot of drivers will know this one they'll know a lot about it, but it doesn't make any difference because it's still a very high difficulty level. As you heard Becky say, Piotr Wiecek spoke to me yesterday, said he's never been so excited and nervous for the start of a season. He said, I'm excited because I know it's going to be amazing for the fans to watch, but I'm nervous because of how good and prepared everybody else is to chase me down and take me away from that top step. James Deane, the cat amongst the pigeons this weekend, is a wild card entry. And of course, the Shanahan brothers. We're going to talk about those guys because they've been in second and third for 3, 4, 5 years now. Connor Shanahan saying this is the year. He doesn't care which Shanahan gets there, but one of those Shanahans is going to the top. And they're here on home soil with the home support. And what I absolutely love about it is that we have a fight on our hands. Everybody in this whole arena knows that for the next couple of hours, we're going to see some of the best in the world go head to head. We kick it off with our top 32 right in a couple of moments. And then we go to our top 16, the main event, to parade all of the flash and the craziness and the hype from the crowd before we settle our podium later tonight. And I'll tell you one thing that, last year we saw 2 international drivers take tops 1 and 2 on the podium. It was Piotr Wiecek and Oliver Randelou, and before that an Irish driver has never actually been beaten on this venue. So it's incredible to think this is how far European drifting has come. 25 nations started this weekend, but which nation will finish it up? Well, they've got a very challenging track ahead of them, and we've got some judges who are making it even more challenging to try and test their abilities. I'm going to hand you over to head judge Kevin O'Connell. Kevin, talk us through this layout, where they're going to score high, where they're going to score low, and what I got to do to win a battle.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. So as you saw from qualifying yesterday, extremely tricky and technical layout that the drivers are going to have to contend with here today. And as always, we are going to be extremely harsh on the lead driver as well, because as we always say, without good lead runs, you can't have good chase runs. So from that lead driver, we're going to be looking for them to hit all of those clipping zones and maintain that line throughout that qualifying track, like we saw with the qualifying line yesterday. Maintain nice, consistent angle throughout the entirety of the course, and also drive so that the chase car can follow. For the battle rules, though, as we always say, we all want that proximity. That's the wow factor of this whole thing. And for the chase driver, we're going to be looking for a few crucial things. We're going to be looking for them to maintain as close proximity for as long as possible. We want them to initiate no later than the lead driver. We want them to, of course, match our lead, our improve on the lead driver's angle throughout the whole course. That's very critical for this layout especially. And we want them to mimic the lead driver's transitions and line throughout the whole course.
Well, there you have it from Kevin O'Connell. This track is very challenging. That first corner, so fast, and you're going to have to be right on the edge of reason as you go through it to get it right. Let's have a quick, more technical look at the track, because this is what the drivers are contending with today. It is off the start line, full throttle, first, second, third, fourth. There's 2 decel zones, 6 outer zones, 1 inner zone. Track length at 430 meters. That initiation is weight transfer preferred, and fired into that first corner as fast as you can. Chase car is going to get right up close and personal, as Kevin Quinn did there in practice, but not too close to make an error. You got to get the nose of the car to inner zone 2, which pushes you on that perfect line towards outer zone 2, or zone 3 rather. And as you can see here, Darren McNamara just putting the 2 wheels through that outer box. That's the perfect line. Then it's a snappy transition using angle and a little bit of handbrake to slow yourself down and put your rear wheels into that outer zone. Don't put it on the concrete, don't put it in the gravel, because that's going to hurt your score. And it's a transition without too much angle into outer zone 5, and then flick that car as hard as you can, decelling up along the wall. James Deane showing us exactly what that's all about. Full throttle again on that outer loop, brush by the end of the wall, the second wall, and then across the finish line in outer zone 7. Looks easy, it ain't easy. Now, first corner, you can't see absolutely anything when you're coming up to it as a driver. You can just see the roof of the grandstand, and it's completely blind, so you've got to get your muscle memory correct. My name is Dave Egan. I'm going to be talking you through all the action today alongside my good friend and colleague Ian Waddington. Ian, we've been watching a lot of drifting for a lot of years, but I don't think we've ever been this excited to kick off battles before.
I don't think we have, Dave. I think the anticipation, the excitement building up to this round, this first round of 2023, has been bigger than ever. And I think a lot of guys have said, this is the year I think I'm going to follow this travelling circus around the world to some crazy tracks all around Europe and see just who is crowned the champion of the final round in Poland. Let's take a look, though, of what we have got coming up today in head-to-head battles. The first battle of the day will be James Deane to take on Michal Reichert. And I'm going to pull out some that I think are going to be standout battles. Dylan Garvey to take on Christian Erlandsson. Christian Erlandsson, the seasoned pro, did suffer with some nerves, did suffer with some car problems maybe later in the years, but now now Dylan Garvey, the rookie sensation. Can he do what he said he's going to do and take names, not numbers, this weekend? We've got Piotr Wiecek, the defending champion, to take on Clint Van Oort from the Netherlands. Another man that wants to come in this year and take on a full season and see how he gets on. And for me, another standout battle, a highlight for me, Max Heidrich to take on Oliver Randalou, the man who finished second step on the podium last season. Can he do it again? Can he take down the German driver?
Well, the time for talk is over. Qualifying's done. Practice is done. Now we're heading to battles, and this is where it all kicks off for 2023. Hold on to your seats, because we're heading to top 32. Well, we start off with some incredible battles, and it looks like final after final in the top 32 alone, Ian, as we have a huge heavyweight battle after each other. This is where it starts off. We got James Deane, the wild card, come back as first place qualifier, come against Michal Reichert, finishing in 32nd in qualifying. But he's got a ton of horsepower, a ton of experience, and a ton of trophies under his belt. What if he took down James Deane in the top 32 and caused a big upset for the weekend? Well, it's about to kick off here in Mondello Park. The start line marshal is ready. Our track is ready. The judges are ready. We hope you guys are ready, because it is about to go down for the first battle of 2023, Deane versus Reichert.
Yeah, Deane versus Reichert. These two have been face to face many a times as Deane comes through the gears, flicks that car to angle. Reichert caught out there on the initiation, just left standing a little bit now, dials on too much angle, trying to shortcut the circuit. Deane, nice line into outside zone 4, but a little shy, a little shallow, has to wait to get into it now as he transitions back. Reichert shortcuts the circuit, makes up some lost ground as Deane goes to the wall. Reichert now looks for the rear end, but shallows out the angle and shuts the car down as Deane takes it across the line.
Yeah, it looks to me like Michal Reichert having a mechanical issue at the end of that run, completely shutting the car down altogether. Not what he wanted to do, especially when you're up against one of the best in the business.
No, certainly not there, Dave. And you can see James Deane on the radio to his spotters, asking what went on. And Michal Reichert does make his way off the circuit under his own power. Let's take a look back at the replay. This is where, for me, Michal Reichert had to really start thinking about what he was doing. You can see shortcut outside zone 3. And Deane here, look, early entry into outside zone 4, but he was way down. He had to wait and push the back end of that Falcon tyre car up into that zone, and Reichert there, again, out of the zone, wavering and wandering, trying to find that proximity, shallowed up the angle, and then made this dive from outside zone 5 towards the wall. And I wonder if he caught himself up a little bit there and maybe handbraked and clutch kicked at the same time, because Michal Reichert, after that moment, shut the car down and cruised back across the line. And we can take a look on the onboards now. Back for 2023 are the onboards. We can see that emotion, and we can see those guys working away inside their car. Reichert looks like he has bowed out of competition there. That is a pretty clear indication he's out of the car, and he's congratulating James Deane and says thank you to our start line Marshal Martin for all the hard work over the weekend. It looks like Reichert is going to take his car back off the back of the circuit, and not the way that Michal Reichert would have wanted this weekend to go after all the preparations he's put in. He said he's been working tirelessly in the off-season to get that car to 100%, knowing what it needs to compete at this level. So we are going to see a by run from James Deane in the second half of his top 32 battle.
Yeah, broken drive shaft, the problem there.
Wow.
Snapped an axle as he came into that last. Yeah, Ian, you're on the ball there.
I'm on the ball this year. I've done some homework. I watched some drifting. So I watched some of that stuff drifting in the off-season.
It seems to have paid off.
Yeah,
I'll tell you one thing though, that when you put 800-900 horsepower through the rear axles of a car, he came in quite tight, dead stop, a lot of grip in the back of the car. That piece of metal just twisted, and that's what happened. So James Deane's going to get to do one for the fans here, and I mean, I'm looking forward to this because he has no pressure on him right now. He can do whatever he wants to sit back and enjoy one of the best in the business on his home track, showing you how it's done.
Yeah, certainly. Look at this, throwing through the gears, fourth gear, opposite, flick there, clutch. Oh wow, look at James Deane, almost 90 degrees on initiation. And Deane having fun, enjoying himself, and he'll take this by run because it won't get any easier as he moves through into top 16, great 8 and the final 4 later on if he makes it that far today in competition. Deane absolutely filling Mondello Park with tyre smoke. The sun is shining and these guys are having fun as Deane finishes up his by run across the line. One done and in the bag for 2023 for James Deane.
Absolutely. I mean, that's as easy a start as you're going to get to a competition, and you don't want to make it too easy for the machine. So, Michal Reichert having a mechanical failure, allowing Deane to get the automatic win. The crowd absolutely elated with that. Their hometown hero, the guy that represents them all over the world, getting a little bit of an easy run into the top 16, and we'll make it official. But yeah, no questions there. He's going to go through to the main event later today, and that's where all these drivers want to be, because the 32 sits just before the main event, but you really want to get into that main event, that parade. You want to feel the atmosphere, you want to feel the hype, and James Deane will certainly be there. Put a big angle into that first corner.
Yeah, he was almost 90 degrees there as he initiated, and look at that on the foot brake, balancing that car as he come through outside zone 3. And James Deane, you know what, he'll just keep taking these runs every single time they come just to feel more and more comfortable. Look at the angle he dialed on there as he made his way into outside zone 5. And then these beautiful wall shots. Right close, up onto the wall he goes across the line. James Deane putting on a masterclass there of a by run.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, he's showing you how how it works. You know, it's the lead qualifying run. He's the highest qualifier. He's got the first battle out. Michael Reichert coming all the way from the Czech Republic. So disheartening for him just to have that mechanical failure. Creeps in to the battles, but he would have known. And as you can see, everything swiping to the left. James Deane gets the win and goes through to the top 16, and he will be in the main event later on. No surprise there, but a surprising way he got there without an opponent.
Yeah, certainly is. We move it back to the start line to the next battle of our top 32. And as we look down onto the start line, we can see Juha Pöytälaakso to take on Benediktas Čirba. So the Finnish driver to take on the Lithuanian driver, and laser focused is Juha Pöytälaakso now as he sits in the lead position, waits for that green light as Čirba starts a little further back, trying to get that run in, trying to get that proximity all the way from initiation. On the back bumper he goes. Nice initiation from Pöytälaakso. Čirba takes his time, now applies the pressure as Čirba dives down onto the door, but transitions too early. Finds himself on the inside edge of the circuit. Now he's going to have to work to get back up onto the door. Pöytälaakso goes for the wall, gets there and smashes the tail line. Pöytälaakso absolutely flying. Čirba hanging on to the side of the other E92.
Two incredible cars, two incredible drivers, and as you said, a little bit of a timing issue from Benediktas Čirba. When you transition a little too earlier out of zone 3, it just means you got to work that car back. Pöytälaakso, what a lead run from him.
Incredible lead run from Pöytälaakso. He was laser focused though. Look at this from the initiation. Čirba though dials on a little bit too much angle, and you can see it catches understeer, has to dial out of it, and then watch the way he accelerates. And then it makes him catch up too quick. He transitions just before Juha Pöytälaakso, and that was where he found himself on the wrong part of the circuit. Had to work to get back onto that qualifying line. Pöytälaakso though doing a sterling job.
And the lead run was perfect, and that's what the judges are looking for. Is it a chaseable lead? And I don't think they could ask much more from Juha there, as he did everything he was asked. He even smashed the taillights off the wall. Couldn't have been wider here onto the wall, as he absolutely decimates the rear end of the car. But that gives Čirba no excuses to not have that perfect chase run, and I don't think it was as perfect as he would like it to be, or we've seen him do in the past.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, we've seen him do some incredible chase runs before, and he is a championship contender on a good day. He does have those off days, and we have seen him have some serious incidents, but on a good day, Benediktas Čirba is one that could stand on top of the step of the podium.
Absolutely, and of course, the thing is that Čirba, you know, Ireland isn't always his natural hunting ground, and I think maybe it's playing a little bit back into that. You can see Čirba still in good form, the Lithuanian driver, but he's got to put on an amazing lead run here and hope that Juha makes a mistake in that chase position. But with the experience of Juha, with so many championships in Finland and in Europe, I think he's going to be relishing this one. He's going to be right on that rear quarter panel as they come into that first corner.
Well, he must have smelled blood in the water, because look at this already from Pöytälaakso. Looks for the back bumper and initiates there. Now gets it right. Absolutely perfect. Nice lead line from Čirba at the moment. A little shy on outside zone 3, but look at Pöytälaakso. Waits for the transition, times it perfectly. Goes for the door, but stalls up, falls down on the inside of outside zone 4 now. Čirba up onto the wall, into outside zone 6, and he starts to put some ground between himself and the Finnish driver, but door to door they go across the line.
Interesting switch up on the second run, as it looked to me like now Juha in the chase position making some errors, stalling up a little bit, could have been a little bit more fluid, could have been a little bit more committed. I want to check this one out on the replay, but it looked to me like Čirba did the job in the lead run there. So judges having something to discuss here. Watch this. Nice wide line from Čirba. Probably goes a little bit too wide, but he gets it right. Gets back onto that inner zone. And you can see, look, Pöytälaakso cutting the track on the inside. And when he transitions here, he gets away with it, but he's got to kind of stall up a little bit. And it's just here as they're coming through the corner. He could have attacked, and he kind of falls back a little bit for some reason. I'm not sure what happened there, but it looks to me like both of these guys are fighting tooth and nail for this top 16 position, that's for sure.
Yeah, they certainly are, Dave. A lot on the line this year, and as we mentioned in an interview just the other day, that this really, for Jack Shanahan, was the round where he could have earned more points. So the first round matters just as much as any other round, because if you bag enough points at this round, they could make the difference at the final round in Poland.
100%, and I mean, every point it matters the same.
Yep.
So you can be on form in the final, but it could be those battles back in Ireland at round 1 that cost you that position in the championship. So for me, it looks like two good lead runs, some sketchy chasing, and the judges are going to have to decipher that one. Of course, they've got their own replay system, so they can go back and look at every single camera angle. They also have onboard cameras, so they get so much information that they can make that decision as educated as they can. But this is going to be a tough one. I think there's going to be a little bit of discussion on this one. We wait for the scores to drop in between Čirba and Juha Pöytälaakso. And let's see which way it's going to go. Who's going to the top 16? And it will be Juha Pöytälaakso getting the win and going through to the top 16. And Benediktas Čirba knocked out in top 32. I'm going to run back to Kevin O'Connell. Kevin, looked to me like there was some good lead runs and some sketchy chasing in that one.
Yeah, they were both fantastic lead runs overall, but if you look at it, we think that Juha definitely had the cleaner lead overall, and when you look at Čirba's lead run, then he definitely was very shallow on outer zone 3, which we had said in the briefing was one of the most critical parts on the track to get correct. Then you look at the lead runs and Čirba had some massive dives to gain proximity, but he wasn't maintaining that proximity despite those huge dives in places. He was doing a lot of cutting to maintain that proximity, but overall he didn't have that wow factor. You then look at Juha, and then while he was cutting in some places as well, especially in zone 2, right on the first corner, he was maintaining that proximity throughout the whole course. So he was making those sacrifices, but those sacrifices were paying off for him, and overall he just did enough to take the win.
Thanks, Kev. Well, there you go. And a little bit of confusion. Dave's looking at me puzzled. Everyone's looking at each other puzzled in the tower. Bit of confusion down there on the decision. Our start line marshal, unfortunately, he said, E92 BMW? Well, there's 2 of them. What one is it? And he got a little bit confused. And I think Čirba thought he'd won the battle. He didn't. Pöytälaakso did get the win. So shout out to the crowd for cheering for these guys anyway.
Yeah.
But Juha Pöytälaakso does get the win and go through. There was just some confusion down the start line. Moving it along, Duane McKeever.
Yeah, the Northern Smoke Machine has won many Drift Masters European Championship battles. However, who's won more? Adam Zalewski. Zalewski is a champion, ex-champion in that white GT86. You've got a Polish champion versus a UK and Irish champion going head-to-head, and it's just a top 32. McKeever back for redemption after a poor finish last year. Same for Zalewski. Let's see what happens here as they come down the straight. Here we go.
Yeah, look at this now. Nice initiation from McKeever, but look at Zalewski holding back. We've been problems with that car. He's been struggling and working on it all morning, all evening last night. Can he get it to hold together? Nice dive up to the door. Little tag onto the door from Zalewski. Just to remind McKeever, he's still with him. He's still there as they jump into outside zone 6. McKeever on an absolute flyer at the moment. Squeezes the throttle, but Zalewski reminds him he's there to the end.
Wow, well, I tell you what, there's a lot of Irish and a lot of Polish fans within Mondello Park today. And what I will say is that McKeever came out the blocks flying so fast down the straight, faster than anyone into that first corner so far this weekend, and Zalewski just couldn't hang. But once Zalewski got back in the groove as we got to the second corner, well, he was reminding Duane McKeever that he was there.
Yeah, he certainly was. Look at this. I know they've had problems with a handbrake in Zalewski's car, and I wonder if that was the reason why he didn't really get any proximity on initiation, and that allowed McKeever to fly away. But Zalewski, the former champ, the seasoned pro, he knew what he had to do, shallowed up the angle in outside zone 4, and then just tags the door, gives him a little nudge to say, hey buddy, I'm still right with you, as they transition back. Let's take a look at the onboard and see how that handbrake reacts. And you can see him, look, working that handbrake, dragging it for a long time. It's just like it won't lock enough to lock those rear wheels, those big grippy tyres now, starting to put strain on the handbrake setups on these cars, Dave. And Zalewski struggled with that this morning.
We talked about it yesterday. There's so much grip dialed into the back of these drift cars. They're almost like drag cars now. They're designing these cars that they don't want to drift. You're driving beyond the limits.
Drag car.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
There's so much grip in the back. The suspension is softened up. They've got the positive toe in there to make sure the squat on the tyres. They're running like 8 to 10 PSI on the tyres on 285 semi-slicks that are super soft. That makes them tough to drive at this speed, but you know what? They're going for it again here as McKeever now chases in Zalewski. Zalewski's got left something on the table on the first run. Can McKeever dive in? He can. McKeever goes very close, much closer than Zalewski on the first corner and stays with him. Now the transition is a bit depth-defying for McKeever. Has to slam on the brakes, but does it instantly. Gets away with it. Now McKeever's starting to turn the screw and get close, but Zalewski's on a banger of a lead run here as well, and McKeever goes a little bit too inside here. Got to get back up onto the door. But the proximity over the more difficult part of the track looked like it was in McKeever's favour.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable lead from Zalewski there. If you broke that run down, that was incredible. He was so fast and pinpoint perfect. I want to take a look back at the replay. The initiation for me, this is where Zalewski worked out what he needed to do to get that car to go. Barely handbrake. Look at the back end of that car squatting as he's clutch kicking, going over the hill. But you were right, McKeever was there with him the whole way, but the line from Zalewski as he transitions into the outside zone 4. Look at this, on power so early, and that just set him up lovely for this outside zone 5 on the wall run, and Zalewski dials on the angle, flicks it to the wall and says, that is close enough for this weekend.
Well, I'll tell you what, that is two of the best in the business going head-to-head, and it's only the top 32 of the first round. We see incredible stories play out in this championship every year, and we're starting at a high here, a very high level of driving. Zalewski on any other day, what he did there might have been enough. I'm not sure if it is against McKeever, it's hard to know. Some mistakes both sides, but to be honest, one of the most impressive parts for me was McKeever going to make contact, slams the front brake, and then still transitions. I mean, these guys are like octopuses in these cars because they're just pulling in, like, there's so much going on in a drift car compared to a race car. It's amazing. So let's see who's going through to the top 16. And it's going to be Duane McKeever. Duane McKeever gets the win, goes through to the top 16. A little bit more aggression, Kevin, from Duane McKeever in proximity through the first half of the course. Was that what made the difference?
Yeah, both very similar runs overall, Dave, but we have to look at the very minute details here. And I guess if you compare lead to lead, both of them were fantastic, and I heard you guys admiring Adam's lead run there. But if you look at it, he was very slightly wide at the inner zone on the first corner, and he had a very small wheel drop as well at outer zone 6 here between the two walls. Then you compare the chase runs, Adam had a very, very strong second half to the run, but on the first half, where we are weighing quite heavily, he missed outer zone 3, he had to cut outer zone 4, and then he started to reel into proximity. Whereas if you look at Duane's chase run overall, he was there right from the very start, and that was enough to take the win for us.
There you have it. It's James Deane, Duane McKeever into the top 16. You know what if you're doing some of the math, you'll know what that means for top 16. But anyway, we'll move on to Pöytälaakso. So there's a lot of big names in there, but unfortunately, one big name not making it to the top 32 is Naoki Nakamura. So engine failure on Friday in practice. They rallied. The Irish mechanics and teams got behind and put another engine in the car. But yesterday, another failure. There seemed there's a more deep-seated issue with that car than just the engine. So Darren McNamara in this crazy V8 sprint car engine to PS13 is going to get a free run out to put on a show for the fans, and I'm sure that's exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah, just the sound of this car alone, Dave, is worth staying quiet for, but unfortunately I can't because I love talking about it. Darren McNamara not going to stick to that qualifying line. He's just going to put in his by run. Doesn't matter where he is on the circuit as long as he does fulfill it. And rules of the by run, you have to initiate and complete at least 2 clipping points, right?
No, I think it's just initiate and drift a bit.
Okay.
So basically what you're doing there is you're proving that your car mechanically can drift.
Do it, yeah.
So once he came through the first corner, that's all he needed to do. That's the win in the bag for Darren McNamara, and he moves through to the top 16. And we'll just make it official. But that is unfortunate for Nakamura not to make it to top 32. But he's down hanging out with the fans, and there's so many Irish fans getting photos and signatures, and a lot of dashboards being signed at the car show I saw earlier on as well. So fun to have him here, but not the way he would have wanted to finish. He's got 5 more rounds to make his impact. So we'll all be looking anxiously towards Sweden to see how that one works out. Another big battle lining up here, Ian.
Well, this is one of the ones I pulled out earlier on when we looked at that battle tree at the beginning of the day, and I said, this is one for me that I was interested to see how it would play out. We've got Christian Erlandsson, the Swedish seasoned pro. We've spoke about him before. He struggles with those mind games, that nerves on the start line. He's started to get that dialed now, and he's becoming a really good driver in the Drift Masters European Championship. But hold on a minute. Let's mess him up a little bit more and throw in a rookie who is a British and Irish champion.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You know, when they come to the Drift Masters Championship as rookies, they've probably won quite a bit to get to that point. Dylan Garvey's won, you know, the second in the Irish Championship. He's won the UK Championship, and now he's moving on to the European. Judging by his qualifying runs yesterday, he's very comfortable on this circuit. This one's going to be interesting. Veteran versus rookie, but the rookie has more experience on this track.
He certainly does, and look at that for an initiation from Dylan Garvey as he absolutely fires down. But this is where Christian Erlandsson can really throw that experience into the mix. He dials on the angle. He's getting himself a little bit lost here. Took probably too much angle at the transitions and stalling himself up. As Dylan Garvey won't fall foul to that as he puts on an absolute blinder of a lead run at the moment. Takes it to the wall. Looks for that final outside zone. Erlandsson catches him at the end, but scrappy chase from Christian Erlandsson.
Yeah, we look at qualifying yesterday. James Deane goes out, puts on a 90-plus run, and then Garvey's up next, right? So it's a tough act to follow. And he looked like he was just as good, if not the same as James Deane's confidence levels going around the track. And he's a youngster that's trying to prove himself on a European stage, and right now, I mean, he's done plenty of laps on this track before. He's got the experience. They will have arrived to the circuit knowing the setup they're going to try for the weekend. Erlandsson has more experience, maybe might have the advantage if they were in another country, but here in Garvey's backyard, it's tough to beat him, and he's on form. He's got that RB26 singing in that car, and looks like a guy that's ready to take on the rest of the world this year.
He certainly is. Well, I interviewed him earlier on today, and he said, I'm not here to take to make up the numbers, I'm here to take names. And I mean, that's a rookie who's come in with intent.
Yeah, Yeah, he's obviously been listening to Conor McGregor
So,
quite a bit.
yeah,
It worked for
yeah.
him. It worked for him. So Dylan Garvey doing a great job. Look, I mean, he doesn't need to go this close everywhere, but this wall run for me, I mean, he's absolutely inch perfect there as they come by that second wall. Doing what the judges want, giving you that perfect, as close to a 100-point lead run as possible, which leaves the chase car going, I have no excuse. I should have been there. I should have been following that. As you mentioned, Erlandsson just messing up a little bit on the transitions, just couldn't transition that car, and he's got 1,045 horsepower in that car, or thereabouts. So he's got all the power now to try and pull away from Dylan Garvey. He's got more horsepower, but does he have more grip or more commitment? Well, we're about to find out as Erlandsson tightens the straps of his harness and gets ready. He's very focused now. He knows that he probably didn't have the cleanest of chase runs. He's got to impress the judges here. Marshall, our starlight Marshall, gives the word, and we're almost ready to go. And we are ready to go. Here we are, Dylan Garvey in the chase position, Christian Erlandsson from Sweden in the lead position. Let's see what happens as they come in over the hill at over 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, as Christian Erlandsson fires down, but he's well on the inside, catches understeer, then throws that car off circuit. Dylan Garvey doing well to handle that. Christian Erlandsson feels the pressure of the rookie behind him and fires that car into the gravel now, as Dylan Garvey is going to get an absolute flyer. He fires that car 90 degrees to the wall as we see the onboard hand up, fist bumping in the air as he says that is the way you win your first ever battle at Drift Masters.
That's a confident young man right there, and a dangerous young man for all of these veterans of the European Championship, because he's coming in swinging here. He's taken down a big name right off, and he looked like he did it with ease. He didn't even have any wobbles in those two. Dylan Garvey looks across at Christian Erlandsson buried in the gravel and says, well, I'm pretty sure I know which way this one's going to go.
He certainly does, and going to be interested to see how Dylan Garvey now progresses and grows into this championship as a driver for a full season. We're going to some pretty fast tracks, Dave. Up next, Sweden, one of the fastest on the calendar. I wonder if this young man's confidence can keep him going. Let's take a look back at where it all went wrong, though, for Christian Erlandsson.
Yeah, jumps on the curb and the front wheels hop off the ground, meaning he gets big understeer through that first corner. And he did really well to hold it and get it back on track. But unfortunately, at that point, he's going too fast. So he's lost all of his muscle memory, all of his deceleration. So when he goes back on throttle, it's way too late. He's in the gravel. And the deeper you go in there, you ain't coming out unless someone's towing you out. And that's what's happening to Christian Erlandsson. But you can see front wheels on the curb. And that's the dangerous part of this circuit. We mentioned it yesterday in qualifying. This is an international grade circuit, but it's run in reverse to what we're running it in this particular layout. It means when you hit those curbs, they're sort of pointed edges the wrong way. So it hops the car up and down. You lose all the grip, whether it's the rear wheels on initiation or the front wheels on that inner zone. And you can look at Dylan Garvey saying, that just runs straight up on the wall, perfect, and he's not even in the lead position at this point. He's in the chase position, so he does exactly what he came here to do this weekend, which is show that he's not a fish out of water, that he's got the level, and we're going to get the result in for our battle right now. Who's going through? Well, it's a pretty obvious one. Dylan Garvey gets the win and goes through to the top 16. Unfortunately for Christian Erlandsson, that will be the end of his weekend, but not the end of his season. It's only beginning for Christian Erlandsson to try and redeem that at round 2 in his home nation of Sweden. So Dylan Garvey and Christian Erlandsson are basically going to say hello to each other and say, oh, and we've got Becky on track now. And Becky, Dylan Garvey, rookie driver, UK champion, comes out here and takes down one of the veterans. What a start to the weekend for him.
Absolutely, Dave. What a start to the weekend. Dylan, I know that this year is your first year in Drift Masters. It's a big stretch, it's a big undertaking, but you've just got through your first top 32 battle. Can you describe the nerves when you're sat on the start line, when you know you've just got to get through to the top 16?
I am a nervous wreck. Anytime I'm battling, I'm always shaking in the car. To get through the first battle is everything, and from there on it's a bonus. I'm happy to go home now after the achievements yesterday, but it's just a dream come true, and to be in a full Drift Master season is just something else, and I couldn't do it without my family and my friends and my team. They're absolutely amazing, and of course my sponsors. So let's hope for good luck and for the rest of the season.
Absolutely, Dylan. A happy man there, big smile on his face. That's what we want, Dave.
That's what we do want. That man's going to have to get used to doing some interviews this year, because he's probably going to be in the mix quite a bit as we go forward in the competition to our next battle. It will be Kevin Pesur from Estonia going against Lauri Heinonen from Finland. Lauri Heinonen coming in here, I think, is a little bit of a favourite, but watching Kevin Pesur's practice and qualifying, this one's evening up quite a bit. I think Lauri Heinenen's car sounds like an old Formula 1 car. There's going to be a lot of noise. We got a lot of anti-lag from Kevin as well. There's going to be a loud battle, but it's got to be a technical one as well. I'm looking forward to seeing which way this one swings. Lauri Heinonen looking for that turn of form. You know, he's been on the edge of podiums quite a bit in Drift Masters, but let's see if he can get himself into the top 16. However, Kevin was ice cold yesterday in very cold conditions to get himself into this position. This is going to be interesting.
It certainly is going to be an interesting day. For me, Lauri Heinonen spoke to him a few times over the weekend. He said, I'm back this year with more power, more reliability. It means I could drive the car harder than I could before. I'm coming for that win. But Kevin Pesur looked absolutely dialed in practice all weekend and in qualifying. Nice initiation though from Heinonen. Pesur got caught up sleeping there. He didn't know where he was going. Now his wheels over the edge of the circuit. Lauri Heinonen on an absolute flyer into outside zone 4. Kevin Pesur cutting the circuit way down on outside zone 4. The transition back from Lauri Heinonen was disgusting as he fires it into the wall. Lauri Heinonen absolutely on form this year and back in flying form.
Yeah, and it turns bad so quick in the chase position here if you're not matching the angle and speed of that lead car. If you've got to play catch-up through those first 3 zones, you're in trouble because you're going to go too fast somewhere else. And you can see it, what exactly happened to Kevin, because when he came through in the chase position, he left the gap, and he tried to catch it, but he was too fast. And Lauri Heinen's smoke is clouding the edge of the circuit. All of a sudden, you know, it's like pulling the red flag away from a bull. All of a sudden, there's the edge of the track. Kevin has to evade that, and he's getting a little messy towards the end of the run. But Lauri Heinonen, look at the laser focus. I love these new onboard cameras this year. You get to see the drivers, you get to see the focus. He was absolutely stunning in that lead run. Some
of those transitions, Dave, were just absolutely absurd. The line that Lauri Heinonen threw down there was incredible. Look at the line he took into outside zone 4. Full throttle way before most people even get to that point. Kevin Pesur was just hands up there. He had no answer for that, and he had to fall way down the inside to try and even catch him on proximity for the transition.
Yeah, but you know, you don't win a battle on one half, you got to win it on both, and that's the problem with drifting, is that you can get a huge advantage, and we watched it so many times in drifting where you think it's going to swing one way and it goes right back the other way in the second run. So Lauri Heinonen has to, you know, controlled aggression is what it's all about here, and for Kevin, he's got to hope that his lead run puts off Lauri here at some point.
Yeah, he certainly has. So now they fly down through the gears. Lauri Heinonen already looks for the back bumper of that BMW as they fire in outside zone 1 and 2 collective. Now they look for 3. Heinonen shallows up. He knows he needs that proximity. He knows Kevin Pesur's car's fast, but Kevin Pesur goes way on it. Way too deep, over-rotates in outside zone 4, and Lauri Heinonen, another driver that says, I will take that any day of the week.
I think Kevin Pesur is trying to go in super fast there, hoping Heinonen follows him in and goes into the gravel. Unfortunately, Kevin just didn't work out for him. But you know what? Had to try something. At that point in the track with Heinonen there, he knew there's not much else he can do. And I think it was all down to the first run there. As you can see, when Kevin comes in, this is a much stronger lead run from Kevin Pesur as he comes through, perfect line. Lauri Heinen's right there, though. No mistakes. He's on the inside of the circuit, unlike Kevin was in the reverse, pushing out wide. Lauri's there to pounce on the transition. Kevin doesn't decelerate enough, and all of a sudden the back end of the car starts to give way. He drops off the edge of the circuit and pretty much spins out. Lauri having to stall up to avoid impact.
Lauri Heinonen was on a flyer there, because on this transition, look, you can already see him setting himself up ready to dive down, and he already knew at that point that Pesur was going way too much on angle into outside zone 4, carrying too much speed, and he'd already started to decel at this point. Look at the rear tyres, look, slowing down. He knew he was already going off. Very clever young driver is Lauri Heinonen.
Yeah, he knew that the angle just wasn't going to be able, you couldn't hold that angle through that corner. Exactly. So I think this one is going to be a bit of a formality as well, but you know, that's how hard these guys are pushing. It's also hard these cars are to drive now with so much pace. Let's see who's going through to our top 16. It is going to be Lauri Heinonen from Finland going through to the top 16. And unfortunately for Kevin Pesur from Estonia, it's, you know, 2 wheels off the track on the first run and a spin into the gravel on the second. We don't need any judges to explain to us mere mortals that that is not how you win a battle.
Even we know now, Dave, after all these years, exactly what's going on.
Exactly, we're picking it up.
Now, my eyes are focused back down on towards the start line and what I have in front of me, which is the battle tree, because I think that the next battle is probably between 2 of the wildest men I've ever seen drive a car in history.
Now I'm going to advise everybody in attendance to take a couple of steps back, because this one's going to be wild. Lauri Heinen's car screams and echoes around Mondello Park. We'll see him back for the main event. Now this is a big battle. Kevin Quinn, one of the wildest drivers Ireland has ever produced, going up against the wildest driver Norway's ever produced, Ørjan Nilsen. Expect fiberglass in the air as these two come into this layout, both on form this weekend. Here we go, Ørjan Nilsen, big qualifying run from him yesterday, but Quinn will not be backing down here as a wild card with nothing to lose.
No, he won't. Look at this, and he's already looking for the back end of the side and the door and everything of Ørjan Nilsen's Toyota Sora. But Kevin Quinn looks like he's stalled up massively. Transitions early. He's going to have to work now to find Ørjan Nilsen. Nilsen goes wide, super wide in outside zone 4, but makes it work. Quinn on the inside looks for the transition as Ørjan Nilsen goes for outside zone 6. Kevin Quinn seems to have an issue with that car, just not where it needs to be.
It looked to me like Kevin Quinn just trying to catch up to Ørjan Nilsen, but almost straightening in the process. Very little angle from the chase position all the way around. Looked like that car just didn't have enough
power.
Go or power. It looked like there may have been an issue, because usually, I mean, that car is 800-900 horsepower. It's lighting him up, but I'm not too sure if Ørjan Nilsen was super fast and Quinn has to dial back for grip. But he comes in on quite a straight line approach, Kevin Quinn, so you would imagine him to catch up. He breaks a little bit here, but Nilsen's on full tilt as they come through here. His line is dialed in, and as they go through the clipping zone, you see Quinn here all of a sudden transitions it too early in the wrong place. He's now heading towards the inside of the corner. He's going, oh, I got a handbrake now, I've got no momentum, I'm in the middle. It's a bit no man's land in there, and Quinn is struggling to get back into the fight, and he's almost off complete angle as they come through there. Nilsen, look at the angle, look at this wall run, fires that Toyota Soarer up along the wall as he always does, inch perfect. And Quinn again now on the inside of the track trying to get some proximity, but he's getting it in a way the judges don't like to see it, which is low angle and cutting the course.
Yeah, certainly so. And I wonder now if Kevin Quinn's car is going to be up for a second run. I know he's got a very good team behind him in the paddock, but that doesn't mean that car is at full health right now, ready to rock and roll. He seems happy enough in the car. Maybe they dialed in a lot of grip and it made it super difficult for Kevin to drive.
I think they know how fast Nilsen is. They've put a ton of grip in the car and it's made it really hard to drive. But in the lead position, that should be easier for him because he's in control of the pace. Nilsen now, will he get left behind? Is Quinn's car a rocket ship, which will be a disadvantage in the chase, but an advantage in the lead? We're about to find out. The game of chess that is Drift Masters 2023 continues. It's a very exciting game of chess where a lot of body panels and crashes happen, but Quinn is in the lead. You can see Nilsen getting a run at this. He's jumping ahead of Quinn here. He does not want to be left behind. He knows that S15 is fast. Here we go, up over the hill. And Nilsen, getting left behind a little bit here. Yeah, look at this. Grip dialed in for Kevin Quinn. Ørjan Nilsen flicks it on. Big angle. Now starts to lose some ground. Can he regain it back into outside zone 4? Quinn slows that car down a lot. But Nilsen on the inside, that allows him to shortcut the circuit, looks for the back bumper of that S15 as they transition through the smoke. Up into the wall they go as Kevin Quinn dials on the power, but Ørjan Nilsen finds the door, looks for the side of that S15, and that is a run done. Well, yeah, I mean, it played out almost as if I predicted that, because it did look like Quinn had gripped the car up for maximum speed. It made his car super hard to drive in the chase and sketchy, but it made him very fast in the lead. And Ørjan Nilsen, I think, though, making a couple of less errors in the chase to stay with Quinn overall. But it goes to show, you set your car up quite loose like Nilsen, you're great on the line, you're great on the clips. But if you set your car up super fast like Quinn, it's tough to chase with. So this is the game all of these teams are playing right now. And at this level, it's down to the finest of margins. Yes, certainly is down to the finest of margins, Dave. We can see that Ørjan Nilsen had to shortcut the circuit. Look at this on outside zone 4, drops way down on the inside, trying to gain that proximity. You can see him shallowing up the angle, waiting for Quinn to make that transition. Does it at the same time, so he knows that when it comes to the wall, he can make the dive onto the door. Yeah, I just think, in Nilsen's defense there, I think he's making a little bit more smoke and a little bit more angle, even though he's not got crazy proximity. Quinn had a bit more proximity, but he was doing it in a kind of sketchy way. Quinn's lead run, fantastic, gets all the zones, does exactly what you would expect him to do when he's dictating the pace of the battle. But let's see if the gamble for Quinn paid off by making the car super fast, or did Nilsen's precision pay off? Who's going through the top 16? It's going to be Ørjan Nilsen from Norway gets the win. Ørjan Nilsen gets the win, goes through to our top 16, and Kevin Quinn in as a wild card this weekend. He said he's having fun either way. There's nothing to lose. But it goes to show, and you know what, it's going to be interesting to see which way these drivers set their cars up. And Becky, you're down with the winner, Ørjan Nilsen. He is flying this weekend. Great qualifying run. Now he's into the main event, top 16.
That's a big smile right there. Ørjan Nilsen, how relieved are you right now?
I'm so relieved. I mean, that was a crazy battle. I can hear him on my door almost through the entire run. So I knew I had to do a good job in my chase position, and I gave it all I got. He was a bit slow up to the start, but I could catch him through the track, so I'm so relieved. And I'm shaking.
Did he manage to get away from you a little bit at the start? We saw some separation. Was it just a jump on the line?
Yeah, I was super on in from the start, but then he was a little bit slow, and then he just took off. So I misinterpreted his acceleration. But I managed to grab in the middle of the track, and yeah, I guess that's what made it so.
Fantastic. It's great to have you back at Drift Masters, Ørjan Nilsen, and good luck in your top 16.
Thank you.
There's a happy man, Ørjan Nilsen. Going from the form last year, then into qualifying, I think he would have been the favourite's choice to win this one, but it wasn't as easy or as straightforward as he thought. And again, that run-up can make or break you. You've got to really predict your opponent's moves. And Kevin Quinn ain't going to leave here with any tyres left on the back end of that car, that's for sure.
No, he certainly isn't, Dave, and we're going to move it along to one of the last battle in this half of the bracket of top 32. It's going to be Manuel Vacca, the Italian, to take on the Hungarian driver, Kevin Piskolty. Now, These two guys, Dave, aren't going to mess around. Kevin Piskolty, we spoke about him yesterday. He came to a Drift Masters event in Hungary many moons ago and said, one day I want to drive there. He said, this year, well, I'm coming to win it.
Yeah, I mean, he's a confident young man. And I'll tell you what, his driving is backing that up. But Manuel Vacca struggling a little bit in qualifying yesterday, but he's got all the experience over Kevin Piskolty right here. Power, I think, pretty similar, setup pretty similar between both of these two BMWs. But I will say that Kevin Piskolty's form makes him the favorite, but Manuel Vacca's experience puts him right back in the mix. This is going to be really interesting to see how this one goes.
It certainly is. Through the chicane, from the start line, down through the gears they go. And look at this, Manuel Vacca knows he can't leave any room for error here as Kevin Piskolty fires in that BMW, that V8 supercharger screaming underneath the bonnet. Vacca with an early transition though, and it doesn't work out for him. He fires the back end into the gravel, and that allows Kevin Piskolty now to drive away up into the wall. Goes the Hungarian driver, and once again Manuel Vacca, a desperate dive across the track, but it doesn't play off again.
You know what, Manuel Vacca lost ground in that first corner. I think he was surprised by the pace and commitment of Piskolty through it. He got himself too wide, then made a big lunge to go back across the circuit. Couldn't slow the car down, drops 2 wheels off the circuit. Big advantage Piskolty right now.
Yeah, certainly is. This is a good replay. And you can see Manuel Vacca fires that car in, and he already could see Kevin Piskolty driving away, dials on the angle, looks for an early transition. Look at this, he puts on a lot of angle and says, if I transition right on the outside zone, I might be able to make the dive down. But that early transition we've seen doesn't pay off, Dave. Always puts you on the wrong line into outside zone 4.
Yeah, you know, you do this track in the lead position, you've got your moments where you pull the handbrake, where you go on the clutch. When you go in the chase position, you've got to make it up as you go along, because you're now adapting to that lead car rather than doing your own thing. And right there, Manuel Vacca found himself in a position he hadn't been in all weekend, and he made the wrong choice. He went too fast and too wild and went off the track.
Yeah, he certainly did. So there we go. We're going to swap him around back at the top end of the circuit. Manuel Vacca now going to be in that lead position. Kevin Piskolty will know he has an advantage going into this one, and Manuel Vacca will have to have that rear bumper removed before we can send him down.
Yeah, rear bumper delete-o. And you've never met a man more skilled with a set of pliers
and duct tape
than Marcin on our start line, Marshall. And of course, if you want to buy any rear parts from BMWs, Marcin sells these at the end of the event. And I'm joking. But I'll tell you one thing that he does do is make sure the drivers are ready to go. He's standing rain, hail, snow, shine, making sure these guys are ready to rock and roll, and also calms them down a little bit. It's an important part and a very important role. And we're so thankful we have Marcin down there with a smile on his face in the worst of conditions generally. But here we go, Manuel Vacca will now be in the lead position. Piskolty in the chase. Piskolty's got a lot of the work done here, and he's got to be clever. He can't overcommit, make a big mistake, and send it back the other way. So Vacca has no choice but to go for the purpose lead run. Piskolty's got to play this one carefully, and he's not. He's going for it straight away.
Yeah, he's not going to play with this one, Dave. He's not going to go carefully. He's going to want this one. He's going to want to prove it. But look at Vacca. The pace from that BMW E36, he absolutely fires through into outside zone 4. But now Kevin Piskolty reins him in, looks for the door as they transition back into outside zone 5. Up into the wall they go. Piskolty through the smoke up into outside zone 6. A little wobble, a little waver as Manuel Vacca gets the job done, but Kevin Piskolty not a whole lot wrong.
No, excellent stuff from Piskolty. He did exactly what he needed to do. He knows that at the end of the second corner, that's where you start making your attack, because it's slower, it's a bit more predictable. The first corner is where you don't want to overcommit, because you're either going to end up in the grass, the gravel, or hitting the lead car. So he does exactly what he needs to do. The spotter will have told him, look, Kevin, you got a big advantage from the first run. Just stay in the mix and then, you know, pour on the aggression as we get halfway through the circuit. Did exactly that. And you can see here, not trying to do anything too fancy, just get through the course, not straightening up, and then here, start to wind in the pressure, and did a perfect job. Very professional job, not losing the head, not getting a little bit too aggressive. I like that. It's what you see drivers grow to become, and that's the separation between sort of average drivers and great drivers, is their ability to turn it on and turn it off when they need to through a competition. It's like any sport. You don't want to go running 100% all the way through a game. You got to manage your stamina.
You can't just come out the gate sprinting, Dave.
No, and then you're tired after 2 minutes. You can't do that. So that's exactly what these guys need to do. I can see Manuel Vacca. I think this one's going to be a pretty much a formality, and I think a lot of the judging decisions have been in top 32. They certainly will not for the rest of the competition, I can guarantee you that. Results about to drop in. It's another spot in the top 16 up for grabs. Will it be Italy? Will it be Hungary? It is going to be Kevin Piskolty getting the win. Kevin Piskolty goes through to the top 16. You can see what it means to him. I mean, absolutely lives and breathes for this sport, and always a smile on his face, but a bigger smile when he wins those battles.
Yeah, certainly is, Dave. Look, this is a young man who's progressed all his way through from a national Hungarian series to here, being at Drift Masters, and he said he worked so hard on the off-season, during the season, to get here and to do what he has to do, as Manuel Vacca puts on a bit of a show for the crowds here in attendance at Mondello Park. Piskolty, though, will be the guy we'll see in top 16 competition later on today.
Well, Kevin Piskolty, perfect start so far to the season. under pressure for a second qualifying run, gets it done, and now we move back to the start line. It's two GT86s, two very different driving styles and two very different engine setups. We've got the 1UZ Toyota V8 Turbo of Axel Francois, the French driver, going up against Jack Shanahan, 2JZ Toyota Power GT86. Jack Shanahan saying, poor practice, great qualifying, poor practice. Well, we've seen those days before, but he knows it's go time now. Axel Francois just creeping in, but he's pumped and ready for this. Take down a big championship contender in your first battle, and everybody's got your name in their mouth. So I'll tell you one thing, Axel Francois here is going to go for this one.
He certainly is going to go for this one, Dave. Look, he had a bit of heartbreak in Poland, took that car to the wall, serious damage, ended up breaking his hand, had to go to hospital, and he said, I'm not sure if I'm going to come back next year. He rolled into the gate on Thursday morning. He said, I'm back and I'm here to have fun. And look at this for Axel Francois as he goes to get on the back bumper. But Jack Shanahan says, not a chance, buddy. I hope you got some pace. Oh, and a little understeer there from Shanahan as he comes through into outside zone 3, and that allows Axel Francois now to dial in up into the door as Axel Francois on the foot brake, locking that front wheel. Two GT86s transition up into the wall. Axel Francois doing a stellar job now, sticking it to the door of Jack Shanahan across the line.
That's a big move from Axel Francois there, pushing Jack Shanahan around the last section of the course. And Shanahan, I'm not sure if they've fixed all of the steering problems in that car. You could see a little waver through the first corner, but Jack Shanahan's so talented, he's able to drive around the problem. We weren't seeing the big flamboyant flicks in that run. I don't think Shanahan was trying. Watch this, as he comes through the first corner, just a little bit of steering input in and around here, a little bit of bobble, a little bit of understeer, but he gets the job done, and he's got a lot of pace on Francois. But Francois does a great job of getting back into it here. Look, really risks it all. He could have hit Shanahan here, could have gone into the gravel, locks the front brake, and now he's in the zone right up on the door.
That's incredible driving from Axel Francois. It's been a long time since we've seen him be this confident and put that car exactly where it needs to be. Look at the transitions. He times them perfectly, makes that dive down onto the wall. Look, bang, both together, timing perfectly. Axel Francois, yes, slightly off of that qualifying line, but Jack Shanahan giving him the lead he needed to stick it to the door, and Axel Francois said, I'm getting right in there, buddy. I'm going to right on the door. Even a little touch on the door, the wobble of Jack's car as they come through. It's
going to worry Shanahan here, because he's going in a little with lack of self-confidence in the car. He's played a safe, I would say that's a safe lead run from Jack Shanahan.
Yep.
Technically it's good, but there's no flair in that. He's not risking it with the steering issues. He needs to get no practice here before they fixed it. So I think we're going to see Jack Shanahan go very close here, because he knows Francois was right on the door. He'll have heard that turbo V8 with the turbo in the back of the car. Doesn't have to make sense as Drift Master. And he'll have heard all that right beside him. He'll have felt the nudge over the line. He knows he's got to go close here. Big, big moment for Shanahan's championship clubs and Francois as they come down the straight.
Yeah, there certainly is. This Francois with a big flick to initiation there. Waits to dial it on. Oh, an understeer from Francois this time. He leads them both off circuit. And Axel Francois tries to get himself back in it. Shanahan had to back out massively. They both jump back onto the throttle, onto their qualifying line. Now Axel Francois trying to redeem anything from this run. Fires into outside zone 6, but it's wild and scary from Axel Francois.
Yeah, I think he'll be disappointed with that. Axel Francois came through the first corner, caught that understeer, and his transition was almost an over-rotation. Shanahan having to back out completely to avoid an impact there, sending both cars into the grass. So Axel Francois putting a great chase run together, but in the lead, just wayward on that first corner. I think the judges, again, getting a little bit of an easy road here in the top 32, where the drivers are almost deciding this on their own.
Yeah, they certainly are. Look at this from Axel Francois. Yeah, look, catches massive understeer. You can see the front wheels almost straight four-wheel drifting as he comes into outside zone 3, and that just leads him way off. Jack has to follow him. Jack's carrying that momentum.
But he's also off throttle, Jack Shanahan.
Yeah.
He's trying to slow down. You can see the rear wheels spinning on both cars, but once Axel Francois' rear wheels stop spinning, and you'll see it just happen here, Shanahan has to come off the throttle as well. He's not able to grip to get him back onto the circuit. So, you know, I would, from where I'm sitting, it looks like Francois leads Shanahan off the circuit.
Yeah.
And from that perspective, Shanahan, with it, you know, still ironing out some issues in that car, he might have got a little bit of a lucky break here with Francois making his own mistake, a driver error, rather than being forced into it.
Well, let's not,
well, here we go. The decision is going to come in pretty thick and fast from the judges, and it is going to be Jack Shanahan going through to the top 16. Jack Shanahan gets the win, and you can see it's a lucky one for Jack Shanahan. You can see the confidence, just happy and relieved to get through that one. Francois put it all on the line, but unfortunately it wasn't enough that time. Becky is down with Jack Shanahan. It looked like a nervy first run for Jack Shanahan. Becky didn't know which way the car was going to react, but he got the job done.
Absolutely got the job done there, but Jack, you're shaking your head at me. How is that car right now?
Oh, it's a handful. Like, I've no power steering at all. Through the first corner of my lead run, I was just fighting it like on and off the clutch, just trying to keep it sideways because I just couldn't get it to turn in, and we started understeering then as well because I wasn't committed. And when I was following him as well, when I started left foot braking, it jammed the steering completely. So I think I got lucky that he went off the track, to be honest, or else I wouldn't have been able to transition behind him. So we'll take it, but we need to try to get back to the pits and see if we can fix it, because if I have to drive like this for the rest of the day, I'm goosed. I don't know what to do.
Okay, Joe, well, look at the support you have in the stands there. Would you like to say anything to this big crowd cheering your name right now?
I know, it's good to be back in front of everyone again, and yeah, just hopefully the weather stays good for everyone, and yeah, we can try to take it home, I guess.
Good luck in your next battle, Jack. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Becky. A relieved Jack Shanahan. I'll tell you what, one man who's not relieved is Axel Francois. If he had known the problems that Jack Shanahan was having, he would have played that much safer, and he probably would have got the win. But it goes to show anything can happen over those 30-40 seconds of a run, and Shanahan, it looked shining on his side today in front of the home crowd. Well, look at the Irish, right? So Jack Shanahan gets back to the pits, and they're going to be busy boys until the top 16 trying to get themselves that steering issue fixed. And they've changed pumps, they've changed racks, and it seems to be not fixing the problem. So that is an interesting one. We go back to the start line. We've got a very, very interesting battle coming up because Jakob Kroll has been driving out of his skin this weekend, the Polish driver, going up against Juha Rintanen, one of the fastest men on the circuit from Finland, and he is in a brand new chassis this weekend. You can see him feeling it out in qualifying and practice, getting more confident with every run. Huge amount of experience on the grid right now. Two of the biggest names in European drifting, but only one is going to get through to the top 16. This is what it's all about, these heavyweight encounters in Drift Masters. Marcin gives the thumbs up, and here we go.
Here we go, Dave. But Jakob Kroll, the high qualifier, leads out Juha Rintanen, the heavy hitter in the fastest GR86 that is on the grid from what we've heard so far. Look at this. So Jakob Kroll fires down Rintanen, gives him the room now. Rintanen, little wobble, a little waver on the steering wheel. Jakob Kroll looks rock steady as he transitions to outside zone 4. Now Rintanen starts to find him as Kroll goes too deep. He makes it work, but almost contact. As Juha Rintanen has to shut it down to avoid that contact as Kroll came back on the circuit. That one is going to be one for the judges to review.
Yeah, now did Kroll hit Rintanen when they came back on the track? That's what I'm looking at. Does he come across and stop him completely? Rintanen shuts the car down immediately. Now, whether there was contact, should he have stayed drifting? Was he completely, had nowhere to go or nothing to do? So I'm not sure what way the judges are going to look at it, but we're going to see this one in the replay. It looked to me like Kroll went too fast on the transition. You see him on the left foot brake a little bit late, and as he transitions back, I was thinking, I'm not sure he's going to hold this. And as he transitions back way too fast here, trying to slow the car down. Now watch this. As he goes through, he drops off the track, slows down completely. Now watch the front of Rintanen's car. Yeah, it looks like front wheel to me, but shuts Rintanen's car down. We'll probably see it much better here on the drone, and my eagle eye might be proved right, but it looked to me like Rintanen, all of a sudden the front car slows down, and we get, wheel to wheel. Rintanen shuts the car down, nowhere to go. And that's what happens there is, you think, why is he not drifting? His steering wheel just absolutely snaps in his hand because it's supposed to spin back, but it gets jammed, and therefore you take your hand off the wheel so you don't get a thumb or anything caught in it, and that shuts Rintanen down. So it looked to me like, irregardless at that point, there would have been 2 wheels off the track from Kroll at that point. So, he could already have, got a 0 at that point. So I'm not sure which way the judges will call it, but either way, even laymen like us can tell you, you're not going to a battle. If there's gravel raining down on the top of your car as you come out, and it looked to me like Kroll makes a big error there. Rintanen, even though he shuts down, he has been impeded.
Yeah, he certainly has been impeded, Dave. Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing to take from that is that Kroll, when he dived back onto the circuit, he did impede that line. So we have got a lot of gravel by the looks of things out on outside zone 4. So we are going to bring out the sweeper to clean up the track to make the conditions safe and sane for everybody.
And of course, the Irish fans giving a big cheer to the tractor here. A lot of guys into their
tractor guys.
Yeah, big into their agricultural machinery. This might be the most impressive machine they've seen so far today.
Really?
Yeah.
Probably one of the most expensive.
I would say probably as expensive as anything else out here. But this is going to be a little sweep up, a little clean up on aisle 9 because we have gravel all over the circuit, and if you have too much gravel on the circuit, then the guys have no grip, and we're going to see a lot more guys go into the gravel again. So we've got a little bit of a course on hold in, but it gives us a chance to take a break and talk about what's happened so far. It looks to me like the Irish, we haven't had an Irish driver lose yet, but that on paper looks straightforward, but in reality, Deane doesn't get a second half of the battle. It looked to me like the international drivers that are losing are eliminating themselves rather than, the Irish driver being really tested. McNamara doesn't get a battle against Nakamura. We see Deane, go against Reichert. Reichert breaks down. We're seeing a lot of that throughout the run. Axel Francois, had an injured Jack Shanahan in his battle, and he just couldn't, twist the knife in, couldn't finish it. So it's a very interesting way of looking at it where, drivers beating themselves rather than being outdriven.
Yeah, and I think that is the mindset of these guys where they know they have to push maybe that extra 10% this year at the beginning of the season rather than later in the season. As we spoke about, that anticipation, gaining those points early in the year to make the difference up when we head to the final where the championship really comes to a head. So these guys now trying to bag as much as they can. They're pushing themselves.
There's a huge intimidation factor. You come to Ireland as the first round. Remember, Ireland is one round of 6, right? So the first round is an Irish round. the Irish drivers are going to have the advantage here with a little bit more seat time on this layout. And then they've obviously had so much success here that international drivers, I think they need to push over and above to beat an Irish driver here. However, if Axel Francois just stayed on the track, he might have beaten one of the highest ranked Irish drivers by just completing a lap. So over-driving the car, thinking they have to do more than they do, seems to have been the tail of the tape so far.
Yeah, certainly so. Yeah, and I agree with you there, Dave. No end, because they are over-driving these cars. When you watch them, Jakob Kroll there proved it, carrying so much speed into outside zone 4.
Yeah, and hasn't put a foot wrong all weekend, or hasn't put a wheel in the gravel all weekend, and all of a sudden in his battle he does.
Yeah.
And we've got, perfect track conditions here. We've got full grip. So it is over-commitment. It's not, sketchy track conditions or anything like that. It is just going too fast.
Yeah, just guys driving their cars too hard and too fast. So we do have the second half of that battle to go, but this is one of the next battles coming up. It will be Piotr Wiecek to take on Clint Van Aert. Clint Van Aert signing up for a full season this year, Dave. Been to the Middle East, driving in Oman. He said he's getting that confidence, gaining that experience. He's got a really good team around him now of experienced mechanics and spotters, and he said, this year, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to do the full season of Drift Masters European Championship, see how I fare against the best of the best.
Well, he's talking about pressure in drifting, and some people say pressures for tyres, but the man with all the pressure is Piotr Wiecek, because all he can do is the same or worse.
Yep.
I mean, that's where you start from his point of view, is that he either does the exact same or much worse.
Yep.
Because he's won it 2 years in a row now. He's won here last year. He was the man that nobody could catch all season. And then as he spoke himself, everybody got faster. Everybody figured it out. Everybody now has an absolute rocket ship of an 800-900 horsepower car with super grippy tires to catch him. So as you can see in the car,
he's having a sleep.
He's having a little sleep, very relaxed. But I'll tell you one thing about it for Piotr Wiecek is that he knows that it's not going to be easy here. He's got to fight for it, but he's got all the talent in the world. He's got all the experience in the world, and also comes in with a level of confidence knowing he's done it before.
Yeah.
So a lot of these drivers go up against Piotr Wiecek. Again, the intimidation factor comes in. Can we beat Peter? Peter's too fast. He's won 2 championships. That can play in quite a bit. But we're going to have the second half of the battle between Juha Rintanen and Jakob Kroll coming up soon. Tractor doing a great job. Unbelievable. Definitely missing a couple of clipping zones on his way around, but last little cleanup there. And this, of course, is to make sure that the track conditions, of course, we'd love to just run cars all day, but it's to make sure the track conditions are the exact same for every single driver as they go through the course, meaning that there's no better or worse time to run.
No, exactly that. Like I say, we want to keep them same conditions. There's the contact. Look, on that front bumper, you can see it. And it would have been, the wheel-to-wheel contact, snapped the steering wheel out of Juha Rintanen's hands. And we can take a look back at that on the drone as you see Rintanen coming in hot. At this point, he thinks that maybe Jakob Kroll can hold on to it, and then he realises very, very quickly, nope, that's not going to work.
Yeah, it's 2 wheels off the circuit as well. So he's going from, 40 miles an hour down to like 10 miles an hour in front of the chase car there, because you've no traction in the gravel. So he's almost stopped in front of Juha Rintanen. So Rintanen will have got the radio call from the team that have told him, you have the advantage here, Juha, keep it steady, and you're going to the main event top 16 where the fireworks will happen later on. We've had quite a bit of fireworks already in the top 32 here at Mondello Park. Temperature not too cold, it's cloudy, but it isn't raining, and that's all we'll take in Ireland. It's a good day for us here if it's not raining. One of the 4 days a year we don't have rain, and this is one of them. A little bit of a cleanup just while the tractor is out there, just to make sure all of the debris and all of the stones.
I think Jakob Kroll dragged gravel where he completed the run. I think he dragged gravel all the way through into the outside zone. So, didn't want to be transitioning there, Dave, on a load of marbles.
Absolutely not. So we are going to finish up the track cleanup, and we're going to head to the start line once again. And as you can see, a lot of the cleanup here this weekend, we haven't had too many drivers in the gravel really until battles, and it goes to show they're probably picking that speed up by maybe 10-20 kilometers an hour just to try and be a little bit more impressive and a little bit more aggressive. But Jakob Kroll doing a real job of putting stones all over the circuit, so giving it a little bit of a cleanup, and it'll be fine. Everything will be fine.
It'll be good. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
I said 6 stops on this calendar this year, the Drift Masters Championship, going to some crazy places. And we already had a crazy. Every round has its own character, right? So Ireland, it's all about the atmosphere, it's all about the audience, all about the crowd, the hype, right? And that's what this event is all about. Then you head to Sweden. Well, it's one of the fastest tracks of the year. It's a new circuit. It's in the Arctic Circle. When has drifting ever gone to the Arctic Circle? And it's daytime, 24 hours a day for 6 months of the year. We were there last year, 3 in the morning, getting sunburned. Incredible.
Thanks for reminding me about that, Dave.
Just bring your sun cream this time, Ian. You left it at home last time. Marson definitely bringing the sun cream. Maybe not to Ireland, but definitely to Sweden. And Juha Rintanen ready to slot that into gear and head towards the first corner. The Finnish driver looks laser focused there as he comes off the line. Just has to get the job done. He's on his own in the lead position here. Jakob Kroll's got to do something sensational.
Yeah, he certainly has. And Juha Rintanen knows just put down that 99-point lead run, and this one is yours in the bag. And look at this, Jakob Kroll already struggling with the pace from that GR86 of Juha Rintanen. And now Jakob Kroll says, well, I've got I've got to go down without a fight. And tries to jump on the side of that GR86 as Juha Ritten fires it towards the wall. Lovely job in outside zone 6 from Juha Ritten, and Jakob Kroll hanging on, but too much too late for the Polish driver.
Yeah, I mean, that's at this level, one mistake, and that's the harsh part of drifting. You build the car, you prep the car, you put all the parts in it, you tune it, you get all your sponsors together, you pack your big rig, and you travel all across Europe, and you get 30 or 40 seconds, and you make one split-second decision that isn't correct, you're going home, unrewarded, and that's so harsh. It's what makes drifting so knife-edge and exciting, but it also makes it incredibly harsh when you know these guys behind the scene, how much they're putting into this, how expensive it is, how much they're sacrificing to try and be the best. You never want to see anyone lose, but unfortunately, drifting is the one sport where only one person goes home happy at the end of the weekend on the track, and all of us who watch it go home very happy.
Very happy, yeah.
So 100% happiness rate from the audience, you get about a 1% happiness rate from the drivers. So that's how it works. So you always want to win the event. But then look at this, Jakob Kroll doing a good job of getting up close and personal in the similar area to where the impact was on the first run, but I think the judges are going to have this one almost decided the minute they came across the finish line. Love that brand new GR86 as well.
I just took a moment
to
there
see
to
a
look
2023 chassis out of drifting in 2023 is amazing. How far the sport has come, in Europe especially.
Yeah.
Well, we get the results now, and I think this one is also going to be a bit of a formality. It is Juha Ritten going through to the top 16. Juha Ritten goes through to the top 16. Jakob Kroll eliminated in top 32. Easy decision for the judges. 2 wheels off the track, firing the gravel round. You ain't going to make it through to the main event.
No, certainly not, Dave. That's not the way to win. So that one done and dusted in the bag. Juha Ritten moves through to top 16. I'll be very happy with that. The new build proving it works straight out the bag. A lot of these cars, Dave, take a few years to dial in, but not Juha Ritten. He's got that car absolutely spot on already, as Jakob Kroll there just finishes off the tyres and puts on a show for the 2 big grandstands down the bottom end of the circuit.
Well, there's absolutely no point in you know, leaving a bit of tyre there. I mean, that tyre is pretty much done as it is. So Juha Ritten gets the win. The Finnish driver goes through, and we go back to the start line with the battle we were building up. We got the rookie Clint Van Oot. Nothing to lose.
Nothing.
Nothing to lose.
Everything to gain.
The highest ranked driver in the championship. So Clint Van Oot taking a big old run up here, as you can see as well. He knows Peter's going to be incredibly fast here. Peter going for the 3P, trying to do 3 in a row European titles. And can he get it done? Well, I'll tell you one thing, from my perspective right now, Piotr Wiecek needs to start the year strong, show everybody that he still means business. Clint Van Oot, but this is going to be a nervy one for him because he's going to have that intimidation factor against Peter. He's obviously going to have to go faster and harder into that first corner behind him than he's ever done before. This is going to be interesting. He's definitely taken enough of a run up here. Your 2022 and 2021 champion, Piotr Wiecek, leaves the line for the first time in battle action in 2023. Here we go.
Yeah, through the gears, and look at the separation already. Wiecek has turned that car up to 11 as he absolutely disappears from the Dutch driver Clint Van Oort. Clint Van Oort trying everything he can, and he parks the car into the gravel as Clint Van Oort just cannot keep up with the pace, can't deal with the grip and the drive that Piotr Wiecek has dialed into that F15.
No, there's no answer for that. Now, I'm not sure what happened on the start line. We were obviously on the onboard of Piotr Wiecek's car watching him go through the gears, but that was a huge gap. I mean, Clint Van Oort probably didn't have, maybe a lack of experience. He should have left the line Thursday to try and catch up to Piotr Wiecek on that. I mean, you think about it, everyone fell for that last year, and you can see in the final, or in the top 4, when James Deane left the line, I mean, he was 20 minutes before Piotr Wiecek, he was gone.
Yep.
So you've got to react to that speed and that pace, and Clint Van Oot probably, maybe he hasn't lined up with Wiecek in practice all weekend.
Look at this, you could just see Piotr Wiecek just disappearing.
And this is nothing against
Look
Clint.
at that, just gone.
You're a camera car.
Absolutely gone.
Because Clint Van Oot now is going, what have I got to do to try and catch that? He's got to do a kamikaze dive through the smoke. He does, but he doesn't slow the car down enough. And then Piotr Wiecek's gone. You see him lose the rear end of the car and head towards the gravel. But this is not that Clint Van Oot's mistake. This was most of the grid's mistake last year, until they started figuring out that we need to leave a little earlier on the chase position. You can do it. You're allowed to leave the line early. You got to time it very right. It's a risky game. But if to stay with Wiecek, if you stay with him through the initiation, you can stay with him through the course.
Yeah.
But you can't let him get that run on the straight. And Piotr Wiecek, so much experience, so much grip dialed in. Look at the almost aggression in his eyes right now. He said, right, let's get the job done here. Van Oot's gone off the track. You know what? I think Wiecek's going to use this opportunity to go close. He could play it safe, but he's already got such an advantage. He wants to do one battle where he goes, let's see how I stack up against the rest of the grid. Clint Van Oot now cannot afford any more mistakes.
No, he can't. He's slotting through the gear zone. Wiecek is laser focused, you say. Then leaving the room to manoeuvre. And Wiecek now starting to rein in in Clint Van Oort. Clint Van Oort, a little bit of understeer, wobbles the car into outside zone 3. Looks for the transition back, no mistakes this time. Oh, and again, some wobbles and wavers as Clint Van Oort parks that car in the gravel. Piotr Wiecek goes for the overcame. As he says, that is not how you do outside zone 4, buddy. Looks for the final zone across the line, and Clint Van Oort once again a passenger.
And you know what, Clint Van Oort is a very talented driver. He's one of the guys that's going to grow into the season. He's going to have some big things ahead of him. Super nice guy.
Yeah.
But what Clint Van Oort has unfortunately, witnessed is the difference between starting in this championship and dominating this championship. And Piotr Wiecek's been dominating this championship, and that's why, because he's able to turn it on when he needs to, and his pace, and even you talk about pace and speed, right? It's very hard to drift fast because you're on the edge of grip all the time. So he's learned that technique, that skill, and you can see Van Oort just dropping those wheels off the track. He tries to keep it going. Wiecek says, well, he's offline. It's open season for me to overtake him, and once he overtakes him, that's another 10-0 to Clint Van Oort.
Just look at how far Clint Van Oort went off there, and you can see Peter, the way you looked over and said, no, I need to transition now, so here we go. Look at this for the overtake, and Clint Van Oort would have been saying, oh man, really? Is this how it's going to finish?
That's not good. Not good when I started as the lead car and I ended up as the chase car. Look at this three-wheel motion from Clint Van Oort. He does well to not go further into the gravel here. He keeps the throttle in, and you can see it's just understeering. There's no front wheel on the ground, so it's very difficult to drive at that level. But I'm telling you, Clint Van Oort, keep an eye on him for the rest of the season. He has some great results in the Middle East. He's had some great results in Holland. And I think he's going to know himself which way that one's gone.
And he's always smiling.
He's always smiling. What a guy. One of the nicest guys on the grid. But unfortunately, it's going to be Piotr Wiecek going through to the top 16. Unfortunately for Clint Van Oort, that will be the end of his weekend. And Wiecek starts as he means to go on with a big, big win. And I'll tell you what, Wiecek to me looking stronger than ever this year from practice onwards. The fans here in Ireland absolutely love him. He took down a 20-year almost undefeated streak of the Irish on home soil, and he would love to do it 2 years in a row. But he's looking poised and ready for that right now.
Look, he didn't have the best qualifying yesterday, and he admitted it himself. You know, there was a run where he was maybe a little bit tentative, and then he got sent out in the rain when it was hard to score those big points. But Piotr Wiecek, he says, it doesn't matter where I qualify; it's where the battle's made.
And it's funny because I think if you look at Jack Shanahan last year, a lot of top steps on the qualifying board, but not on the podium. And which would you trade? I think Wiecek could take his first step on the podium over first in qualifying. We move back to the line, another big battle coming up. We got Jakub Piskolty, the man that's won rally championships, Dakar championships. Well, now he wants to start off this year by winning a first round to head towards a drift championship. Jakub Piskolty, Polish champion. Will he be European champion? Well, he's got a rookie beside him in Lee Scott. Lee Scott, though, has got a podium in Drift Masters before. A couple of years ago, he took his car to second position. So he's no slouch here. As a rookie, you might not be familiar with him in a European sense, but he can drive, and he's in Kevin Quinn's, well, we'll say old car, it's still a brand new car. And he's taking a big run in here behind Piskolty, and this is the tactic a lot of these guys are going to have to do against the pace. Watch, leaves the line early, lets Piskolty go to try and stay with him. This is Scott chasing in Piskolty at the top 32 of round 1.
Yeah, look at this from Lee Scott. Oh, almost contact. He goes for the back bumper. I think he gave Jakub Piskolty a little nudge there before they came over the brow of the hill. Piskolty now goes wide, starts to drop wheels. You can see Lee Scott backs out of it, holds on to it as they transition, look for the wall. Lee Scott once again looks for the dive, down up onto the door of that GR86 as he goes all the way to the door and across the line.
I mean, Kevin Quinn is looking on going, that's my car. I've been knocked out of competition in top 32. You've borrowed my car. You haven't drifted in 3 years, and here you are putting it up against one of the best in the business. To be honest, Piskolty was perfect until he just went too wide on that second corner. The first corner, you can see Scott does have a little understeer. It stays close, but he's not perfect there. He gets a little too close, and on the transition, Scott starts to tidy it up. But watch Piskolty, look at this, really close on initiation from Lee Scott. Almost contact between the two cars. Has to back off a little bit. Very brave. I mean, it's easy to be brave in someone else's car, I guess. And it's going to be one of those things where, look at Piskolty, does he go onto the, one wheel on the gravel, just about keeps it on the track, very close to going 2 wheels off there. And Scott has to make evasive action because obviously that lead car is slowing down. Piskolty does tidy it up nicely towards the end of the run. And we spoke to Jakub, he said, it's a new chassis, a new engine setup. He's getting used to a lot of the changes in the car. He said every round he gets better and better. But looks to me like he tidied up towards the end, but that one error, that one mistake, well, we'll come back to that after the second run and see, is that going to be the decider?
Yeah, I'm just looking there, Dave, just taking a look back at the replay to see if it was 1 wheel or 2 wheels. That was the big question mark for me. Was it 2 wheels in the outside zone? Do you see Lee Scott having to back out so much, dial off, and this is the moment. Look, it was, it's questionable. I mean, I'm right now, I'm glad I'm not a judge.
Yeah, we don't have to judge.
No,
we can just make very uneducated guesses on which way it's going to go.
We've got away with it for years now as well.
We have a reputation for it. So what we're going to do is see this one switch around. Now, Piskolty is going to have to put on a masterclass of chasing here. Scott's going to have to put on. This is the one they don't want to be decided on. Scott can't make any big errors there. We've seen him suffer with a little bit of understeer in that first corner. A lot of grip in this S15. Piskolty's hungry for it. Leaves the line very early. He's got to get the job done here.
Yeah, he knows Lee Scott's got the pace, Dave, as they come through the gears down, but Lee Scott fires in big. Initiation, carries the pace. He does understeer, though he goes wide on outside zone 3. Oh, Piskolty goes for the dive. Almost takes the back end off of the S15 as Lee Scott now sees Piskolty making his way up onto the door. He sees him diving in, but Piskolty's wobbling and wavering. He's maybe a little sudden rush of blood to the head there.
What's the transitions from Jakub Piskolty? I mean, he knew he had to do something special, and I think he did something special there. That transition into outer zone 3 was exceptional. You can see the pace that Lee Scott came into the first corner, bent the canard on the front of the car. That's how much pace he was carrying in there. This is crazy stuff. And he's on a D-beat.
Oh,
he's got no rear tire on the car, Lee Scott. So when did that happen, and how long was that tire D-beated? Was it on initiation? Look,
Yeah,
there it is.
D-beat
so
on
Lee
initiation.
Scott did that whole run on one tire. And Piskolty, maybe that was why he caught up so fast. He'd lost a lot of ground. Watch this transition from Piskolty. Oh, it's good. It's spicy.
Perfect.
I like it. But Scott's not fast here because he's got a puncture on the rear left. He's not putting down as much pace. Piskolty's allowed back into the battle.
The transitions have me speechless from Piskolty because he was
and Scott's line not super great, and he's having to handbrake a lot in that lead position to keep that car moving with one tire on the rear. So let's see which way this one swings, because now we've got a real conversation between the judges of which way this one's going to go, because you've got a D-beat on one side and you got Piskolty going off the track on the other side. Yeah, and there's the tail of the tape. You need 2 tires on the back of the car to go fast.
You do need 2
tires. That's a technical term that I use. 2 tire go fast.
And Lee Scott's just looking at that car saying, I have damaged a lot of that car.
Yeah, let's see which way it goes. It's going to be interesting. It looks like it's going to be a one more time between Jakub Piskolty and Lee Scott. A one more time. Well, interesting stuff there, Becky. We had 1 tire come off the rim and we 1 man in the gravel, and now we're going at it again.
Absolutely, and I just got one question to ask. Did you realise that your tyre had come off the rim, or did you realise what was happening?
Both. I wasn't sure. Just felt we were going a wee bit over the bump, and I just said, oh, nah. But she kept going, I kept at it, so we'll go again and see how it goes.
Yeah, there is no time, I think. You know, you don't see nothing in the end. Only to be close.
Are you happy to be going again for one more time?
We have one more time. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, you have one more time. You'll be going again, guys.
So it is a one more
Enjoy.
time. We'll just go back to Kevin O'Connell. Kevin, an interesting one there. 6 dozen, 6 of one and half dozen of the other. A lot of mistakes. Kind of want to see more of a clean battle.
Absolutely, Dave. Yeah, definitely needed to break that one down. But I suppose when you compare both lead runs, both drivers having wheel drops at different areas of the track. Lee Scott having a wheel drop at outer zone 3, and Kuba having a big wheel drop at outer zone 4 too. So both lead runs having similar mistakes, so they kind of evened each other out. Then you compare the chase runs too. Lee Scott having excellent proximity throughout most of the track, but having to sacrifice a lot of angle and some clips to maintain that proximity. And then Kuba then having a very good proximity then from outer zone 4, where you could see that Lee had a D-beat and he absolutely stuck at his door for the rest of the run. So overall, maybe Lee taking the lead run, maybe Kuba taking the chase run if you had to really nitpick, but overall you have to see that go one more time.
Yeah, I'm not complaining. I think I'd like to see what Kuba Piskolty can do not being in the gravel, and what Lee Scott can do with 2 tires.
Yep.
Let's hope we get that. We move back to the start line, and another big battle. Connor Shanahan speaking about it in the pre-show, that he's a little worried about Felix Lindvall. Lindvall has been rising steadily. He's got his mirror is nervous. The car is nervous. Felix Lindvall isn't nervous. Felix Lindvall, an incredible driver. He's been rising through the ranks, but Shanahan said, "This is my year. I got a strong start." If you look at the other, big names that have finished last year in the high rankings, Jack's through, James Deane, Peter Wiecek, Connor Shanahan wants to do the same, but Lindvall would love to upset the party here, and Lindvall in the chase position can go for broke here, knowing Shanahan is a very smooth and very tidy lead driver, and we're looking good in qualifying. This is going to be an interesting one. Anything can happen here in Drift Masters as they leave the line.
Yeah, it certainly can, Dave. And Connor Shanahan would be worried about this one because Felix Lindvall has got a lot of talent. Nice initiation from Shanahan though as it comes down. Lindvall now starts to dial out the angle, looks for that GT86 as they transition back into outside zone 4. Lindvall goes deeper than Shanahan in outside zone 4, reining him in, flicks on the angle, looks for the transition. Lindvall lazy on the transition zone, wastes the time and makes a big dive and contact onto the door. Lindvall risked it all for a shot at this weekend.
Well, it's the same story we watched through the whole of the top 32. These Irish drivers, you know, looking comfortable on a circuit they know, and the international driver almost eliminating themselves. I mean, Lindvall was really in the fight there, not perfect throughout it, had made some errors, but throwing it all away with no chance at the end by making contact at a slower section of the track. Just a little bit of inexperience there.
Yeah, it was for me as well. The transitions were lazy from Lindvall. If you watched him behind, he was wait and wait and wait. Look, this one, for instance, he came way wide, waited for Shanahan to get the job done so he could try and make the dive down onto the door. For me, it was just, he risked it all, really, for nothing. He could have easily have played that one a little bit safer. And look, he out of that zone, made the big dive, bam, big tag onto the door, the quarter panel, the rear wheel.
Yeah, you can see the wheel of Lindvall's car dramatically. Watch this, watch the front wheel. Boom. So he's out of control at that point. As you can see, he's off power. And what happens sometimes with a jolt like that is actually pushes your foot off the accelerator or off the clutch. I mean, let's be honest, if you're in a regular car and you're hitting another car at 40 miles an hour, it's not just going to be, oh, well, whatever. So it's a bit of a jolt in the car. These guys are obviously strapped in super tight, so that impact travels through the car into your body very, very quickly. Safety, obviously, paramount here, and you know, this is to protect them, but also you feel everything. So Lindvall almost giving himself a huge disadvantage there. He won't be happy with that. You can see usually a smiley guy, but not so smiley right now. And Conor Shanahan will have got the word from the radio to say, look, he's pretty much shut down after you there. All you need to do is just get this one done and move on to top 16. Shanahan, an experienced driver, despite his years, will probably listen to that advice.
No, he won't. He won't listen to that advice. He's going to go door to door with him, Dave. That's no way to put on a show. And look at this, Conor Shanahan is going to put a show on for the crowd. Felix Lindvall fires in that front bumper, can't handle the pace as they come through inside zone 1, out to outside zone 3, down they come into outside zone 4. Shanahan now starts to put it on the door, and Felix Lindvall feels the pressure, DBs a tyre, and flicks the car into the gravel, and that is all she wrote for Felix Lindvall. Conor Shanahan, well, just strengthened his championship, Dave, once again.
It's just incredible to watch that we haven't watched too many international drivers finish both runs in this top 32, and I think it's overdriving, as you said again. Lindvall way too fast into that corner. Now what happens with this corner is, remember, the edge of the tarmac is the edge of the track. Then there's about 2 feet of concrete, which is sort of like your safety zone, and then there's a big dip into the gravel, which has been dug up by so many cars. So you're almost 2 feet over the edge of the track when you're hitting that gravel, and that means you're going just too fast.
I think Felix Lindvall here was just trying to drive away from Shanahan, knowing Shanahan had the pace. And you can see that on this transition. Look, it's on throttle super early, and he's way, way deep into the outside zone 4 already. Goes super wide as soon as he drops the wheel, and you can see Conor Shanahan does a very, very good job there of evading contact, drops down out of the zone early and gets himself away from trouble.
It is dangerous because when you watch Lindvall, he stops instantly, and Shanahan has to stop instantly.
It was the way the car just
jolted
turned
the other way,
around, flicked around.
Well, if it's taking a tyre off the bead, it's a violent switch, you know, and I think Shanahan will have watched that happen and go, he'll know instantaneously in the car that that's enough to get him through to top 16. But for me, Lindvall, again, just a little overdriving the car, and I think this maybe that first round, maybe all the expectations, you know, I gotta go win, I gotta go do it, we put so much into it, and all of a sudden overdriving the car becomes such a natural thing to do.
Look at that, 3 wheels up as the car turns itself around, and Lindvall's in that car as a passenger as it debeats.
Yeah, no coming back from that one.
No.
And Lindvall will be removed from the gravel trap, and I think it's going to make it a pretty obvious decision for the judges once again. They've had an easy top 32 for the most part, but a lot of the drivers, you know, almost sealing their own fate. So it looks like we are, look at Conor Shanahan, he's going to be relieved with that one. He said it was one of those weekends that, and the funny thing with the Shanahans is, the more they complain about how it's not going well, the better they do. It seems to be sort of a pattern here that's emerging. That they've had a bad practice, things have broken, and everybody's in a panic, and then they do very well at the event. So maybe that's just the Shanahan way.
Yeah, it's the Shanahan way. I think the toe strap there, he's so far wedged in that it snapped the rear toe point clean off of the back of Felix Lindvall's car. That's how wedged he is in that gravel, Dave.
He's dug in there.
Look at that. You can see that piece of tube.
Well, that's the point, because that gravel trap is at the end of a very long straight when the track runs the other way.
Yeah.
So its idea is that it's dug deeper as it goes to slow a car right down. I've been in there a few times myself.
I was going to say, you sound like a man speaking from experience.
From experience, many times in there. And the further you go in, the deeper you go. And it's tougher to actually drag the car, because the cars are super low.
Right.
So all that body work and all the frame of the car is getting into the gravel. So our recovery, and here's the impact from the first run, and you can see Lindvall just fires it. He's not stopping that, and you can see straight away once the steering wheel starts to jolt, it's a big mistake.
Yeah, but what are the judges looking for, Dave? Is there anything? Oh.
No, this will be Shanahan slowing is what they're looking for, I'd imagine.
And if you watch the top of the windscreen, ready, wait for the brake lights now.
Okay, so the question will be: is it a left foot brake, which doesn't,
Is he slowing too much in a full throttle zone?
Yeah, the decel is to the wall. So once they get past the wall, they should be on throttle. Let's see. Oh, Shanahan, he slows momentarily? That's an interesting one. I mean, this will be an analyzation that the judges are looking for to see, is it enough of a slowing? I mean, this is the hardest part of judging. Did someone go too fast or did someone go too slow? You have two objects moving, at the same time, and it's a very difficult. Physically a difficult thing to decide, because if someone slows too much, what does that mean? If someone too fast, what does that mean? So they're trying to work out where the slowing is and how much it is, and Lindvall will creep back towards the stern. So it'll be a very obvious decision, or it could be a twist in the tail. We don't know. We're not communicating with the judges until after the decision is made. But let's see which way the judges go on this one. I'm sure they're going to lock in their scores very soon. You can see Conor Shanahan straight over to offer commiserations to Felix Lindvall for not the way he wanted to end his run.
No, he's got a smile on his face though, Dave, and Felix Lindvall's having fun either way, and these two young superstars, they're saying, well, you know what, it was fun while it lasted. Let's see who gets the win though and advances through to the top 16, and there we go. Oh, we got split decision.
It's going to be a one more time decision between Conor Shanahan and Felix Lindvall, and that, Becky, not the result Conor Shanahan was probably expecting.
Conor, I was looking at your face just there. You think you might have it in the bag, but now we're going to a one more time. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. Maybe it looks like there'll be a lot of them, because I'm not going to change my driving there. That's what I've been doing all weekend. So I don't know what they've seen, but okay, let's go again. Push the doors off him. It doesn't make a difference to me. It's been a tough morning, and that was kind of the first run I got in the car where I felt quite decent, and I have a nice black mark now to get the car not looking so fresh. But it is what it is. If that's what they've seen, that's what they've seen. I personally didn't feel that. I decel more than I've done there all weekend, but I'm happy to run it again. Let's go.
Brilliant, thank you so much, Conor. And there you have it, a brand new car with its first tyre marks on it. He's ready to rock now, Dave. That's it, he's got the first marks.
Yeah, well, he's going to wonder how he got those marks and didn't win, because Kevin O'Connell is going to tell us what happened.
Yeah, so look, I think the second run is quite obvious where Felix actually went off, and we can call that then Felix's issue. He had an incomplete for that run. So let's bring it back to the first run there. And what we did an awful lot is we looked at that deceleration zone into outer zone 6, where there was contact and therefore there was an incomplete from one driver. So we didn't have to decide who was at fault for that incomplete. In my opinion, I would have said that yes, Conor did have a wobble. He was slightly off throttle, but he was doing enough, in my opinion, to justify that he was still on line and he was on throttle without any obvious signs of deceleration. He didn't have any major handbrakes. He didn't have any deceleration on the brakes or anything like that. So that's why I deemed it to be Conor that took the win. On the other hand, Vernon and David here, they could see that Felix was coming in. He dove on the inside, and then just as he was getting onto the door of Conor, you could see that Conor had a slight check-up where he was off throttle. In their opinion, that was enough to justify that Conor was at fault, because he should have been fully back on throttle in their opinion, and therefore the incomplete was then deemed to be Conor's fault overall. Therefore, you have an incomplete to Conor on the first run, you have an incomplete to Felix on the second run, so we have to go one more time.
Well, that's made it very clear. And you know what I love? I love the fact that those judges make their own calls independently, and we have a split decision. However, Conor Shanahan says you got to accept that and move on. You can't let it shake you. There's no point being angry about a decision or disappointed. You got to go do it again. So Felix Lindvall, who would have thought, I'm definitely out of the competition here, now will get another chance to roll the dice.
Yeah, he certainly will get another chance to roll the dice, Dave. And he probably thought that it was his lucky day, because once he was in the gravel trap, he probably thought there was no way of coming back from that. So we have got the course on hold once again to remove that gravel from Felix Lindvall's car. Once that is done and we are cleaned up, safe and ready to go, we'll be back on the start line.
What's an interesting thing to note from the judges there is that they're watching every moment.
Yeah,
and again, I mean, we saw when we looked at them analysing that replay, got a little hint on there what they're watching, because it's sometimes different than what we watch, you know, on the broadcast. That you could see the brake light come on in Conor Shannon's car and a little check up there, and they don't miss anything. No. So they're watching every single technical part of that, and again, I can see from both sides there. And again, I'm happy those guys are making the right calls, and we're getting more drifting, so it's all good. We move back to the start line. Another interesting one, wild card. Alan Hines is in his second car this weekend. It's actually his third car, because his car is broken, and he borrowed a car, then he borrowed another car. So he's in the third car in the one competition, and he is in that R32 Skyline going up against Paweł Grosz from Poland in a beautiful GT86. But Paweł looking for a little turn of fortune, didn't get the results he wanted in 2022. He's going to be looking across at Alan Hines saying, I'm not too sure who this guy is or what car this is, but he also will remember that he is a virtual drift champion. He's also been around the world, and he's going to go, oh no, hold on, that guy's actually quite good.
He does know him though, Dave, because these two apparently, I found out today, battle online all the time.
Well, then they know each other very well.
So they know each other very well in the sim world, but now it's time to do it in the real world.
There ain't this many people watching in the sim world, that's for sure. Right here, you got, you know, over 10,000 fans packing into Mondello Park. Irish driver versus Polish driver. We got a lot of Polish and Irish fans in attendance today, and here we go. Alan Hines in the position higher qualifier will lead him in.
Yeah, he will lead him in as Paweł Grosz slots through the gears in that sequential gearbox onto the back bumper of that Nilsen Skyline. He goes, but he stalls up and leaves some room now as Alan Hines absolutely flies away. He looks to set that car up nicely for outside zone 4. Paweł Grosz, so not going to let him get too far away as he jumps down the inside, shallows up the angle, touches the front wheel, almost puts them both into a spin, and Paweł Grosz throws the chase run away as Alan Hines absolutely nails it to the wall, wide on 7, and gets the job done.
Yeah, it looks to me like Paweł Grosz just got a little greedy on the inside. You know, he stayed too late in on the proximity, and he got boxed in. And when the transition came from Alan Hines, which he was entitled to do, looked to me at first glance that Paweł Grosz found himself in the wrong position.
Yeah, he certainly did, and you will see this on the replay. He kind of got napping on the initiation as well. We let Alan Hines get away from him on the initiation. I think this is where he tried to catch up. We could take a look on the onboard. He waited and waited and waited. As soon as he handbraked, Alan Hines was up and gone. You can see that car accelerating away on the initiation.
But one thing you can notice here straight away is Alan Hines initiates and goes on power almost while Grosz is still on handbrake.
Yeah.
So he's jumping away straight away. And Grosz trying to catch him up through the rest of the course. But it looked to me like he just got that little bit as they came through. And this is a really good angle. You can see everything happening in the car. As he transitions back down the gear, he goes in and out. This is where he gets really tight to the inside of the circuit. So he's catching Alan Hines at an accelerated rate here. And now he's going to get boxed in. He's trying to handbrake, keep the car moving. But as he comes up, where's Alan Hines? He shouldn't be. And he's like, uh-oh. He's right there. So judges will have another look at that one and see what they think. But it looks to me like Grosz is he's actually ahead of the chase car right now on the wrong angle, and Hines, you know, who's transitioning back for that zone, you know, doing what he's supposed to do. Just found himself looking at a GT86 and had to do his thing.
Yeah, of course. And look, we talk about it quite a lot, you know, the rules and regulations, and impeding the lead car in the chase position is a big no-no, Dave. So judges will be, you know, swinging favour in Alan Hines' way after that run. But we do have another run to go, and that will be Paweł Grosz to lead out Alan Hines for the second half of the run. Alan Hines will be feeling confident after that very nice lead. So our start-line marshal master just checking out Paweł Grosz's car, and then we'll get these guys underway. Alan Hines focused, drops his hands off the steering wheel and says, I want to go, it's go time. Alan Hines creeps through the start line chicane. Through the gears he goes now to chase down Paweł Grosz for a spot in the top 16 awaits. Paweł Grosz can only do everything he did in qualifying and put down that impeccable lead line, but can he replicate with the Irishman chasing him on his tail? Look at this, Alan Hines, no mistakes in that chase position, doesn't get caught up, transitions at the same time for outside zone 5. Now Alan Hines looks to make the dive. Down on the inside he goes, on the inside of outside zone 6, parks the front end of that Nilsen Skyline to the door.
Yeah, it's all going to come down to that first lap. It's all going to come down to what looked like an error from Paweł Grosz as he, you know, got stuck on the inside of the circuit. Obvious at first glance, but we thought the, you know, the Shanahan inval one was obvious at first glance, and we're always looking at it at first glance, but the judges looking at it through completely different glasses. They're looking at it through, you know, it's not an entertainment product to them, it's a criteria product, and they're saying we have to make sure that everything boxes into those criterias. And it looked to me, from where I'm sitting, that it looks to me like Grosz makes the error on the first run, and it looks to me like Hines doesn't replicate that error by staying wide behind the lead car here on this outer corner. That's what sets you up for that dive down towards, and you don't get yourself boxed in and cut off. So clever driving from Alan Hines in a borrowed car, and it looks to me like Grosz Yeah, it looks like he makes the big error, but we'll wait for the official judge's decision before we say anything, because we don't want to jump the gun.
Oh, we never do, Dave. We never do.
Well,
we give everyone our opinion, and then we let the judges.
But our opinion matters little, because it doesn't decide the battles. We just watch it like you guys do in attendance or at home as fans. But we're also not that knowledgeable. So here we go. Alan Hines steps out of the car. Is it the obvious decision? I'd imagine it will be, and it will be. Alan Hines gets the win, and Alan Hines goes through to the top 16. Mistake from Pavel Grosz, get himself boxed in on the inside of the corner. Means that's the end of his weekend. Uncharacteristic error from Pavel Grosz there, but it's cost him, and he's out in the top 32. Alan Hines, in a borrowed car this weekend, moves on to the top 16. Interesting to see how he'll get on for the rest of the weekend, as he looks very comfortable in that R32.
Yeah, he certainly does. He looks very comfortable in that R32, and he's going to move forward top 16 competition. And yeah, Pavel Grosz there, we spoke about it before. We talk about it quite a lot. Impeding that lead car is a big no-no. So Pavel Grosz there knocking himself out of battle, and these European drivers, unfortunately, knocking themselves out of competition. We go back to the start line. It will be the one more time battle between Lee Scott and Jakub Piskolty. So Jakub Piskolty in that lead position. Lee Scott, another chance at this one, Dave. And well, I mean,
this is just a game
if
of
we could get
who holds
no
their
wheels
nerve.
in gravel and wheels on tyres, we'll be fine.
You know what? It's so exciting
Wheels
because
and tyres,
I think they're
tyres on wheels.
pushing so hard now that anything can happen, and we've seen Kuba make a mistake he normally doesn't make. We've seen Lee Scott make, he didn't make a mistake, the tyre came off the rim, but that's how little pressure they're running to try and make that car fast. So we knew he'd leave Kuba, but then all of a sudden it went against him because the tyre came off the rim. So let's see what happens as they go into their one more time battle. Kuba Piskolty, and then you look at Lee Scott trying to find traction down the straight, and Lee Scott not afraid to go close. Big contact though, goes too aggressive.
Yeah, way too aggressive, and he caught understeer trying to carry in that speed and pace against Jakub Piskolty. Piskolty holds on to it unfazed as Lee Scott now gets himself back into the fight. And Piskolty's car is absolutely flying as Lee Scott almost takes another bite out of the side of that Toyota. They cross the line.
You know what, that's risk reward on that first corner. Could have
sure.
been one of the most amazing initiations of all time, but just went too far, I think.
Look
too
at
aggressive.
This. Oh, he tagged the wheel, and I think it knocked the steering wheel out of Lee Scott's hand. I think that's what happened there.
I mean, that's downhill off camber blind and at about 70 plus miles an hour, and the steering wheel comes out of your hand, and you still managed to get around the corner.
And Jakub Piskolty dealt with that so well, because you could see the way it pushed the car to more angle. It's like, we can carry more angle down here, buddy.
Well, Kuba's definitely felt that in the car. He's gone, oh, he's hit me there. And then when he sees him back on the door, he's probably thinking now, oh, he's got me the whole way around. But that was a big error from Lee Scott. And, the judges will look at it as a prolonged area where he was not on angle. A lot of straightening there from Lee Scott. I'm not sure how the judges will see it. I'll see it as a big deduction either way. Whether it's a 0 or not, that's up to them to decide. But it was a big error.
There was a huge error, yeah. Look, I mean, again, the chase car impeding the lead car, he's forcing him to go into more angle. That could have been worse, way worse than how it didn't play out like that. Luckily, Piskolty dealt with it very, very well, but it could have been bad.
It could have been bad. And Lee Scott now, he's all smiles. He's a wild card. He's here to have some fun this weekend, but that would have been a bit scary on initiation there. Piskolty doesn't really know much about it. He just kept going. So all Piskolty's got to do now, I think, is just put in a clean chase. But he went off in the gravel on the last, set of battles, so who knows? Drift Masters, You can't predict it.
You can't predict anything right now. So we wait for those green lights, car slot into gears. We get the green light, and Lee Scott gets the permission to leave the start line. Here we go. Piskolty door to door with him though, onto the back bumper. He now dives as they fire in. Piskolty says, well, I'm going to go down with a fight, that's for sure. But look at the pace from Lee Scott as he dials that car in into outside zone 4. Piskolty now shortcutting the circuit, looks for the front wheel, goes for it, makes the move as they transition to outside zone 5. Piskolty back on it again. Wow, the transition didn't even make sense. But Piskolty is going down. Not going to go down without a fight this time.
I mean, Piskolty didn't need to do any of that. He took way bigger risk there than he should have, because nobody looks better than Piskolty down towards those two walls on those transitions. I'm not sure if it's the short overhang on the front of the car.
I think it's because the car is so short, front to back, he could just tuck it in.
Like, Lee Scott...
Look at the grip, though. Lee Scott absolutely fires away as soon as he gets on throttle, Dave.
Yeah, and Piskolty has to make a dive here. Now watch this. Piskolty gets a bit of understeer here, but he keeps it together. This dive for me, just risky, you know, because he's not really in full control there. But from this point on, Piskolty he's reeling in the fish. He's just getting closer and closer. Look how close he is on these transitions. First transition, oh, beautiful. But it's the second one for me. You're pinned between the car and the wall, and you still get the job done. Up onto the door. Phenomenal driving from both of these guys.
Yeah, unbelievable stuff. Unbelievable stuff. Good to see a clean battle, a clean run. Okay, apart from the contact from Lee Scott, just pushing a little bit too hard.
You know, you got to respect Lee Scott. He's pushing as hard as he humanly can because he knows how good Piskolty is.
Of course.
And what he did the first time wasn't enough. So, you know, took a risk, didn't pay off, in my opinion, and Piskolty looking pretty strong right now. But these two guys have had fun. 4 incredible runs. We can only have one winner and one guy joining the top 16 here at round 1 of the Drift Masters European Championship in Mondello Park, Ireland. Let's see who's going through. And it's going to be the Polish driver, Jakub Piskolty, getting the win. Piskolty gets the win and goes through to... Incredible stuff. Piskolty, you know,
couldn't believe he won.
He actually went, well,
it was like, I won.
Yeah, but he wouldn't have known how bad Scott's mistake was behind him.
He probably just felt him touching him and was like, he's...
So as surprised as anyone, and I think he would have been less surprised if he was watching it from the outside, but Piskolty gets the job done. That beautiful GR86 moves in to the top 16, and Lee Scott had a great weekend, but it comes to an end. We now move on to another incredible battle lining up here. A guy in Pontus Hartmann looking for a turn of pace, turn of fortune, a better result here this year, starting fresh, but he goes up against one of his own nation's own in Joachim Andersen. I'll tell you one thing, this is interesting because you've got Andersen, who, to be honest, looked very strong in 2022, building that momentum, looked strong all the way through qualifying. Hartmann, though, will know Andersen inside out. You can come all around the world, but you land right beside some of your friends, and he's going to know his driving style. So this is going to be interesting. He's not going to be as intimidated here, Hartmann. He's going to go for this.
He certainly is going to go for this, and in practice, Pontus Hartmann was absolutely flying. Now, Joachim Andersen wants some turn of fortune this year, wants to get on the podium. Can this be the round he does it? Absolutely slams through the gears as he drives away, and Pontus Hartmann left a big separation there. Needs to work hard to gain back that lost proximity as Joachim Andersen fires into outside zone 4. Now you can see Pontus Hartmann shortcutting the circuit, looking for the rear wheel of that S14A. That Nissan transitions up onto the wall as Joachim Andersen dials that car in, takes off the back bumper, looks for the final outside zone, and Joachim Andersen is on a flyer this weekend.
Absolutely. I'll tell you where that one went wrong. I was just having a little look from the start line. It looked to me like Pontus Hartmann spinning wheels as he's coming through the start line. No smoke from the rear of Andersen's car. So Andersen not just applying full throttle to stay in, trying to keep that grip level to make the car go as fast as possible. Now, I'll be honest with you, you know this, Deane. You bury the throttle in one of these cars, it's just going to spin the wheels, regardless of what you do. So it looked to me like Hartmann just couldn't get the traction in the chase position, and Andersen, you know, just did.
Yeah,
and at that point, Hartmann's playing catch-up for the whole run.
It certainly is, and it showed, you know, that transition into outside zone 4. Look at this, you can see how shallow he is. He's way on the inside of the circuit, and he kind of lets the car wash back up into the zone to try and prove to the judges he can get there. But for me, Joachim Andersen, Dave, this weekend and carrying that momentum from 2022, he's really growing into this championship now as a driver.
I'm not sure what that rear bumper has done to Joachim Andersen, but the
whole back end, I mean, look, there's nothing left of it now.
They're definitely having a falling out this weekend, or falling off.
That's a fresh wrap. The guy who wrapped that car is like,
the guy wrapped the car a week ago and said, that looks lovely.
Are you
and
serious?
Yeah, and now it's destroyed already. He's lost half the back end of the car, but that's not because he's crashing. Look at the precision.
Just touched it, like literally.
Makes no effect to the rear wheel or the car, just bumper, that's it. Disposable. There's some guy in the car show inside in the center of the paddock polishing his 3rd stage of wax on his bumper, and he's like, oh, that looks lovely.
That looks lovely.
And then you're looking out here, and this guy's absolutely duct taped the back end of the car back together after smashing it off a wall. Different types, different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, different types of people. That's what it is. So
and it's the same bumper, by the way. So you know.
Oh yeah.
So Marcin, of course, 14 years duct tape training, masters, I believe.
He's a master's degree in duct taping.
His whole house is structurally held together with duct tape and cable ties.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, never fell down. No. Unbelievable. And we have Joachim Andersen now closing the door. Well, he's got an advantage here, a big one, but he's got to still do work here because it's not a big overturn here. And Pontus Hartman's just got to go in there. He's doing his own thing, just do as good a lead run as he can. If Andersson can get some proximity here without cutting the circuit, it's going to be his. He's going to the top 16. Easier said than done in these conditions, though, as here we go. Pressure is on. Hartman and Andersson into that first corner they go. Watch the smoke from the back of Hartman's car again, struggling to get traction.
Yeah, same problem again for Pontus Hartman. Lit the tyres up the whole way down that start straight and struggles to get to outside zone 3. But now Joachim Andersson is the man with no proximity as they get into outside zone 4. Joachim Andersson is the man that makes the mistakes as Pontus Hartman fires across the circuit. Very nice from Pontus Hartman. Look how early he's on throttle, and Joachim Andersson can't handle the pace.
I'll tell you one thing, it happens so often in drifting when you think right down to what? 40, 50 feet, game over. Andersson's probably going to take this. All of a sudden, goes way too aggressive on the transition, over-rotates the car.
But the aggressive flick from zone 5 to 6 from Pontus Hartman was insane. I didn't even think I see the wheels stop for a second there. He was on throttle so early, there was no way that Joachim Andersson could handle that.
Now, up to this point, I think, missing outer zone 3 would be a big deduction for Hartman. It's not the perfect lead run.
Watch
but
this
look at the angle he pulls here. So he goes
Watch
on
this.
angle,
Full throttle,
fires
full throttle.
the car back. So does Andersson.
I don't even think he lifted off the throttle, Dave.
And he gets
it was
the zone.
Very good. For a millisecond, he came off the throttle, and Joachim Andersson was like, "You're not going to stop.
Yeah,
we're not going to slow down."
Surprised by the pace.
Yeah, I think that was all that caught him out. There was the pace.
Yeah, that is full commitment there.
Full commitment.
But Andersson, he's going to be punching the steering wheel on that car because he was 40, 50 feet away from taking the win on that one. You can see it in the emotions in his face. And I'm wondering which way the judges are going to call this one, but it looks pretty obvious to me. And it is going to be the obvious decision. Pontus Hartman gets the win from Sweden and goes through to the top 16. And it goes to show how the seesaw goes from one direction to the other. You can have everything right, but you got to finish that second run. And Andersson facing the wrong direction. It didn't matter any of the mistakes Hartman made up till then because, well, Andersson made the bigger one.
Andersson made the bigger one. That for me, the reaction there from Pontus Hartman. He said to me last year, I'm struggling so hard to find the groove of Drift Masters. He said, the level is just insane. I just wish I could find that momentum, that groove. And to see him there that happy, winning his first battle, qualifying well, he said, maybe this is the year that he does find that bit of momentum. Look, he has the car for the job, he has the power. Let's move it along though, Dave. Well, it was a battle that I called out earlier on today that I was excited to see because Oliver Randalou, well, he stepped on the second step of the podium here last year.
Yeah, dominated.
But Max Heidrich...
Yeah, the only man to beat him was Piotr Wiecek, and he beat quite a few last year, so that was, there's no disregard for the achievement. But now Max Heidrich, yesterday he was saying he was in wet conditions. He said, Max, don't do a max, just relax. And that's a little rhyme I made. And basically he did that and got a great second qualifying run. So Randalou, coming in here with, known experience on this track and doing very well. Heidrich now, well, it's a mixed bag. You're either going to get 157% or you're going to get 120%. You're never going to get just enough. So it's all on Max Heidrich there to keep us cool here.
Wow, but look at Oliver Randalou. He was all over the back bumper of that S13.5 as they fire in. Max Heidrich goes super wide, dips a wheel into the dirt, but handles it. And Max Heidrich has turned the level up to 100. But look at Oliver Randalou. He knows this circuit, shallows off the angle, tucks the nose, that BMW up on the inside. As Heidrich tries to drive away into outside zone 6, but it doesn't work. Randalou sticks it to the door across the line.
Great run from both of these guys. Heidrich on some angles through that course. Wow. I thought he was going in the gravel. I thought he was going in the wall. And I thought
he was going to take off.
I'm not sure if he's... I think he's more comfortable being on the edge, and it throws off the chase car because the chase car's like, this guy's going to spin. He's never going to hold that.
Yeah.
But Randalou stays in it, stays close, knows Heidrich's style and says, nah, every time anyone backs off him, he gets away with it, so I'm not going to do that. That's a great run for both of these guys.
Look at the aggression from Randalou as they come down the start straight, though. He was on the back bumper straight away. Look, I spoke to Max Heidrich quite a lot over the course of the weekend, and he's come back with a different attitude this year. He's very relaxed. We spoke about it. He amped himself up in previous years too much, maybe tried too hard, and I think this new attitude this year where he comes in a little bit more relaxed, like I'm having fun, I just want to be with the guys and travel around Europe, and I think that is a dangerous attitude because he has nothing to lose. He's coming in here just to have fun.
Absolutely. Oliver Randalou, though, does have the more spectacular dashboard. It looks like a Bentley from the inside. It's unbelievable. I've got a comment on it saying it's very tasty. But Max Heidrich, there's a little bit of a mistake for me, not getting close enough to the wall. Just tidy that up. That's a previous run there from Hartman and Andersson. But for me, from Heidrich and Randalou, I think Randelou's a clever player on this track. He doesn't overcommit. He does enough to stay in the fight, but he doesn't get himself to a point like Anderson where he's going to spin out and throw it all away.
No.
And we've watched more drivers in this top 32 throw it away than be beaten.
Yeah, for sure. We have. The dangerous thing, though, about Oliver Randelou is he has that confidence on this circuit, which a lot of the European drivers are yet to find, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, he's in the lead position now. He's slotted into gear. This is going to be interesting, a real game of chess. Heidrich, though, is, you know, he's going to go for broke here because that's the way he drives. So you've got the steady sort of professional approach of Randelou from Estonia and the wild German Max Heidrich firing in there. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, Oliver Randelou on that cool, calm and collected initiation, and Max Heidrich is going to go for it. He's parked that front bumper on the rear wheel, and the transition didn't even make sense from Max Heidrich. Oh, he just about hangs onto it. I thought he was going to over-rotate. So much angle thrown at him from Heidrich, and he's driving wild as Randelou lays down a clinical lead line. It opens the door for Heidrich to batter and bruise the side of that BMW.
It's just, it doesn't make sense how Max Heidrich, it's like he's driving in a simulator where it doesn't matter. There's no consequences because he got closer. He smashed the wall in the chase position. And Randelou, you know, was on the wall. Heidrich was deeper in the wall. Heidrich is making transitional moves there that no one's doing in any run. I mean, this for me, you know, how close he gets here on the first corner. Randelou, second handbrake from Randelou there. That's the big deduction. And Heidrich stays with him. But watch that, Heidrich's kind of in no man's land a little bit here. And then he manages to make it work. Goes almost ahead of the lead car, gets back behind him, and then goes. So just manages to make that work. But for me, it's going towards that wall, that he goes deeper. Is there contact?
There's a lot of braking there from Oliver Randelou. He's hand-braking and foot-braking into the outside zone 4, and while he's in outside zone 4.
Yeah, just spotted that wheel-to-wheel contact. Now watch this from Heidrich. He goes deeper to the wall. Watch the back end, bam. Loses that. Randelou's locked on the front brakes coming through there. Like, this is where we see in-car. Look, he's hand-braking in.
But he's hand-braking in the zone.
Is he hand-braking here is the question. Hand-brakes, yeah, you're supposed to be on full. There's only 2 decel zones on the track. These onboard cameras not allowing any, you know...
No room for error.
No room for error. Look at this. Randelou's like, I'm going very close to the wall. Heidrich is like, you call that close to the wall? And then his back wheel is in the wall behind him. Let's see Heidrich emerge here with bumpers flying and everything, crazy stuff. Yeah, I'm not sure which way the judges are going to call this. There's a couple of errors both ways. But Randelou with that second handbrake, let's see if it hurts his score. Who's going through to the top 16? It's going to be Max Heidrich. Max Heidrich gets the win. The German driver gets it and goes through to the top 16. And you can see what it means to him.
Wow, what an absolutely brilliant response that was.
Wow, it means the world to him. He's got his new newborn son watching on. Daddy doing him proud, right? Look, I'm going to throw it back to Kevin O'Connell because, Kevin, there was an awful lot going on there that we were trying to keep an eye on. And, yeah, you guys saw that Max Heidrich getting the win.
Yeah, there was an awful lot going on in that run, Dave, and there was an awful lot to process. And I suppose if you look at the lead runs, both drivers making mistakes and not being on that perfect qualifying line that we were looking for. But overall, I think Max had a very slightly better lead run overall. But for me, personally, it comes down to that maximum aggression that Max had on his chase run. He was just far more aggressive, had better proximity overall, was making less mistakes and coming less offline than Randelou did on his chase runs. So overall, for me, it comes down to the comparing chase to chase, and Max definitely taking the win over that.
Well, just off camera there, Oliver Randelou commiserates with a burnout and then sets his car on fire. So that's what happened while Kevin was... So you can never take your eye off the old Drift Masters European Championship. There is fireworks all over this circuit, and one battle that's getting ready to go back on the line is an interesting one. Connor Shanahan and Felix Lindvall, who've, you know, gone door to door into the gravel contact, and now they're back at it again.
Well, I mean, the only thing I could take away from that end of that conversation that Connor had with Becky was that Connor said, that's the way I'm going to drive. The attitude from him was, if you don't like it, then adapt to it.
Judges don't like that phrase. They ain't going to adapt.
It's like he was directly talking to the judging panel.
He said, I'm not adapting, and the judge says, well, you'd want to, because we're going to do it before. So that's how that works.
Well, look, Felix Lindvall, he gets another roll of the dice, Dave. What does he do this time? He knows the pace from Shanahan, and now he has to deal with it again. He gets left once again on the initiation as Connor Shanahan fires down. Felix Lindvall, though, reins him in a little bit. Let's go with the left foot brake as they fire into outside zone 4. Shanahan on that perfect lead line, but Lindvall gives him the room, doesn't want to do too much too soon. Now looks for the transition. Up onto the wall goes Shanahan. No braking this time from Shanahan as Lindvall deals with it. Doesn't get get too close and leaves a little bit in the bag.
Yeah, well, Shanahan did adapt. That's what he did. He adapted. He basically said, if the judges are going to deduct me for slowing there, I'm not going to slow there. And Lindvall makes an error on his own. Goes on a little too much angle there in the chase. Shanahan, with the advantage, just had to do this the hard way and go through a second run. But it goes to show the judges not leaving anyone any room for error on this track.
No, certainly not. And the only way I could take out of this now is that Conor Shanahan is going to try and blow the doors off Felix Lindvall's S15. Watch this, though. Big understeer from Shanahan. A lot of steering corrections as he came over the hill. And Felix Lindvall didn't really deal with the pace too well. You could see he struggled to catch up. He was on a very nice chase line. He had a really nice lead to follow, but he just didn't take advantage of it. You can see him left foot braking, trying to keep that S15 in the right place on the circuit. But Shanahan, for me, dealt with it so well. And you could see no braking this time. Well, a little dab here and there as he was in outside zone 6, but nowhere near as harsh as what it was last time.
No, and I think, you know, it's almost, similar to the last run, but Shanahan, doesn't make any errors. He doesn't do that little decel that the judges watched, and Lindvall makes that error sort of on his own, so it shows that he was coming a little too hot into that first wall. He kind of goes on a little bit of an over-rotation, so it exaggerated Lindvall's mistake more, and now Shanahan's in the chase, and I think he's going to be driving with a point to prove here. I think he's probably a little disgruntled with the first call. He's now going to leave nothing to chance here.
Are you trying to hint that Conor Shanahan might be a little bit angry?
A tad,
just disgruntled.
That's the word. It's a polite word for angry. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, they're off the line. Here we go. Through the gears they go. Look at this. Shanahan already bringing that aggression as he jumps across onto the back end of Felix Lindvall's S15. Oh, catches a big understeer, has to get back into it once again, but uses that as an opportunity to make the dive. The transition doesn't make sense, it doesn't have to, as he handbrakes into outside zone 4. Felix Lindvall, though, on a very nice lead line. Was that mistake creeping in from Shanahan? They get up into the wall. Lindvall destroys the back end of the S15 on both walls as he gets for outside zone 7. Shanahan hunting him down.
Well, you got to give it to Shanahan. He took a risk, and it may have paid off from there. The proximity was excellent throughout the run, but that lead run from Felix Lindvall was incredible.
Second to none, Dave.
So, I mean, we're seeing the best two runs from both of these guys so far in the competition. There can only be one winner, and as far as I'm aware, it is the last battle of our top 32.
Right, let's watch it back now. Look at the understeer. Massive amounts of understeer once again for Shanahan. And
but at the same time, Ian, he doesn't.
But watch this transition, Dave.
Yeah, little
He's almost handbraking in a straight line.
Yeah, but then you got to trade it off against the proximity, and Lindvall has no proximity. Is he making those errors because he's going for it and Lindvall's a little bit more relaxed? That's what the judges are going to be talking about.
Of course, 100%. Yeah, and I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I just feel like those
doing
mistakes.
a great job here.
Oh, Felix Lindvall's lead line was absolutely phenomenal. I don't know if Conor Shanahan was trying to overdrive the car. I think that's maybe, we've seen it all day.
And you can see getting a little bit of understeer here as well. I mean, but he's staying on angle. It's not a straighten, but maybe that's just so much grip dialed into the car. It's overpowering the front wheels of the car. Lindvall says, S15 taillights, they are just worth absolutely nothing. Let's just slow-mo smash one of those.
Them into the wall.
Yep. Again, a man in the car park looking on, going,
polishing his ones.
Another guy. Yeah. So let's see, we got a decision to come in. It's got to be a decision one way or the other. Who is going through to the top 16? It's Conor Shanahan. Conor Shanahan gets the win and goes through to the top 16. He's had to do it the hard way.
Yep.
Two battles, got to give it up for Felix Lindvall. Very strong approach in the second half of that one. But it is Conor Shanahan, Becky. He's made it through on the second attempt. He's into the top 16, and the championship fight is very much on from the start.
Wow, Conor, congratulations on winning your top 32 battle. Can you just talk us through that initiation of what happened there? Because it looked sketchy from the outside. What was happening?
It was even more sketchier from the inside. I don't know, I'm just struggling to find the groove, really. Yeah, I don't know, the confidence is there, but for some reason the car just isn't reacting as good as I want it to be. To be honest, I'm actually happy I got it one more time there to get an extra 2 laps in the car, because I was nowhere near confident to go at the big boys yet. But overall, the feeling is quite good. I got back in the door, and we've just got to go back now, make some changes, look at what I've done as a driving aspect also, and hopefully we can improve as we go to the top 16. These boys aren't going to go down with that, so I need to improve, and yeah, I'm looking forward to pushing on further and to the big Team Shanahan corner in the grandstand. It's incredible to have the support from my family and friends at this home event, and the feeling is good. Don't count me out yet.
Conor, you've got a fellow Irishman next. You've got Alan Hines. This is somebody that you've gone up against in the sim world before. What are your thoughts ahead of that battle?
Yeah, obviously Alan is a great driver. We've had many battles over the years, fought for a Pro-Am championship here in this exact place. So we always seem to come up against each other every time he does these events. But He's in a borrowed car, but you can never count Alan Hines out. He's one of the most consistent drivers in the Irish grid, and also is at top level no matter where you put him. So I'm excited to hopefully get up on the door of the Lucky Day competition R32, and yeah, let's see where we're at after the top 16, but it's incredible to see this place packed once again. I'm just pumped, and I'm looking forward to improving the driving.
Brilliant. Well done, Connor. Guys, back up to you in the commentary tower.
Well, he says he's not confident, but he's into the top 16, and he's going to have to turn up that confidence. You can see almost relief on his face coming through that one with Felix Lindvall. And that brings a close to our top 32. And we are going to be back for the parade here in Mondello Park at around 2:15, but we're live back on Red Bull TV just after that. James Deane, Michael Reichert beats himself, and Juha Pöytälaakso goes through against Benediktas Čirba. McKeever takes down previous champion Zalewski. McNamara, well, he has a no-show from Nakamura, gets him through to the top 16. Dylan Garvey, very impressive on his debut against Christian Erlandsson. Lauri Heinonen dispatches Kevin Pesur. Ørjan Nilsen, tough battle with Kevin Quinn. Shanahan beats Axel Francois barely. Juha Rintanen beating Darren. The big one for me was Alan Hines taking down Pavel Grosz. Connor Shanahan had to go twice with Felix Lindvall to finish that one off. And Max Heidrich back on form against Mondello, who goes out 32 this time. He came second last year. So unpredictable. And look at this for a lineup, for a top 16.
Dave.
Wow, big names, and a lot of egos, and a lot of boys out there that think they're going to win this one today, and there is no easy battles there. James Deane against Juha Pöytälaakso, Duane McKeever against Darren McNamara, Dylan Garvey taking on Lauri Heinonen, Ørjan Nilsen against Kevin Piskolty, Jack Shanahan, Juha Rintanen, Wiecek, Piskolty in the top 16, Shanahan against Hines, and Heidrich against Hartmann. Well, it is the road to the final, and Becky, we have a stacked top 16 for everyone later on. I need a small little lie down to gain some energy, because we're going to need it for an amazing finish to this one.
Absolutely, Dave. Like, no battle that is coming is going to be easy. I mean, personally, one that I'm looking forward to, Duane McKeever and Darren McNamara. You know those boys have been driving together for years, and they're going to put on a show for you guys. So we're going to be back at 3:25. We're going to take a short break now. Make sure you don't go anywhere. Go get a cup of tea. Go get yourself comfortable. But we're back live on Red Bull TV, as I said, at 3:25 this afternoon. But if you want to stay on Red Bull TV, we've got a big event going on this weekend. We have the Wings for Life World Run. It's the 10th anniversary of this event, the biggest running event in the world. So, you know, take a break from our show here and then head over to that and then join us back again this afternoon, because you know what? It's going to get loud. It's going to get big. You're not going to want to miss this. We'll see you then.